History tells us that extrajudicial killing has been an issue since the 1960s. From highly profiled people like J.M. Kariuki, Tom Mboya, Piogama Pinto, among others. The law permits a police officer to use force when necessary for self-defense or saving a life. But does this happen in Kenya?
Juu kama ni Kenya kuna sheria. Tuseme kwa mfano unaweza ona kama sasa hii mambo ya ufisadi. Unapata mtu ameimba mali ya umma lakini hutapata ameuliwa. Lakini huko kwa mtaa ukipata kijana hata amesnap simu ya mtu, unapata kijana amepigwa risasi. Sasa kwa maoni yangu mimi naona kama ni makosa ichukuliwe, makosa ni makosa. Si ati vijana wakifanya makosa ati hawatapelekwa kotini. Kama ni sheria ichukuliwe, kijana akishikwa na makosa, kama ni wizi, mambo ya kuuliwa kiholela holela, hiyo sisi hata inatuumiza sana sana kama sisi wazazi.
Extrajudicial killing is a self-evidence in Kenya. You find that very many Kenyans today are dying on the death that they have not planned for, due to the police are killing people anyhow in the street. But I think the main reasons why these police are given their jobs in Kenya is to maintain peace and unity in Kenya. But they have actually abandoned that completely. What the police should actually do, when somebody is wrong, there are rules and there is a constitution. And within the constitution there are laws, rules and regulations that actually govern fellow Kenyans. They should follow these rules to the latter, so that if somebody is wrong, they should take him over to the court of law, so that this guy should be actually justified. When he's wrong, then he should be detained, rather than killing innocent people.
I don't think we need to solve anything with violence, first of all, because we've seen how many children have died because of violence and stuff. So for me, there's a better way to handle situations. See, it's not a must for us to fight or for them to use force. I think sometimes the police, they take advantage of their power to oppress the people.
Cops wanakuanga hawafanyangi thorough investigation. Wanaendaga kwa mitaa, najua a lot of youths wako hawana job. So most of the time then society inakuanga imechukulia wale youths wenye hawana job kasi wabaya. So unapata rumors zina spread, unaenda kupata cops hawafanyi thorough investigation, wanakam tu wanaambia ule msee ni msee mbaya alafu wanamada. So it's not right. Naona cops wanafaa wako wakifanya thorough investigation ndo wajue if that person ni a criminal or umsee tu ni msee ako mtaani anajihaslia.
Kwa upande wangu mimi nasema vijana si poa mapolisi wanaua vijana kwa sababu huwa wana hatia. Najua sometimes huwa ukipata hata siku hizi wanaua vijana bila hatia. Na saa mimi kwa upande wangu naona hiyo si poa kabisa, kwa sababu unafaa kuangalia kama polisi kazi yao ni kushika vijana na kuwapeleka ndani ndio waangaliwe makosa yao, ndio waamue sasa kama ni kuhukumiwa hukumiwe, lakini sio kuuawa bila makosa.
Police brutality is obviously very wrong because some of them, as we've been told, they take advantage of their power and they tend to use the power in the wrong. For example, you might find a person who is not very much guilty of something and is being treated very brutal. Instead of following the laws they're supposed to be followed and obliged to follow, they end up doing brutal stuff to the people. So yeah, it's wrong.
Polisi wanafaa kuinvestigate kwanza kabla wajue the exact person mwenye amefanya hiyo crime. Wanafaa investigate na hata wafai kuwa wasee. Wanafaa follow the right procedure hadi ile point yenye raia wataanza kuresist na wanaweza tumia force kiasi.
Have families themselves, and I'm sure if you wouldn't want to lose a person you love because of violence and stuff, so you just choose the same. When you want people to treat you, you just treat the other person. We are like brothers and sisters. Don't choose force or brutality because people are suffering out there. Yeah.
Nafaa kwanza investigate hawafai like kujudge at first hand what they've had, because mostly hata hizo vitu wanakuanga wameambiwa, maybe it's a misjudgment ama misinformation, and then killing at sight ama shooting mtu hivyo akisikia, I don't feel it's right, because it's unjust. Wanafaa kwanza investigate what's going on, wakupeleke kwa kesi, wakupeleke through the right procedures, then you go to court, and then they'll decide if you deserve the sentence ama the judgment that they've given.
Hii issue ya mapolisi kuwa machokora na watu ambao vijana wanalala ovyo mitaani, mimi naonelea si mzuri. Kwa nini? Wale watu ni job seekers, labda mtu amekuja kutafuta kazi, saa nyingine ni students wamepumzika pale. You cannot know the status why kwa nini mtu amekaa pale. Mimi naonelea si mzuri. Kwanza waende wajue ni nani, anafanya kazi gani, ndio wajue kama ni mwizi ama ni mtu halali. Hii mambo ya kushuti tu mtu olela kuondoa maisha ya mtu si kitu mzuri hata mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
Good morning, the 1st of October 2020. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and this is Good Morning Kenya, the best way to start your morning. Yes, as we were saying off studio, off mic, that it's Jumanji season or episode 10. We are almost completing this season in 2020. So if you know, you know, yeah. Jumanji with all that is happening, but we're glad that we're alive and hale, and we're here with you to, you know, not only just inform you, but also entertain you. It's Entertainment Thursday, our new Friday, right here. This is how we do. Let me rope in my colleagues. I'm the Oreo in this. I didn't get the memo. It's on black. Well, but hey, you need a little bit extra, and I represent the extra this morning.
Ati you represent who?
You put the X in extra.
Ati you represent
See,
who? On
right
that note,
in the
Samuel
middle.
Njoroge, sip some water.
Put some water as I sip.
Ati she represents the extra.
Yeah.
Have you met Jane and I?
Okay.
Have you met us?
If you put it that way,
we refuse to come.
I'll be the voice of reason. I take it back.
Voice of reason. So ushakuwa mhenga sasa.
Kabisa.
She has put on that muhenga crown.
Okay.
Tutakuhengua.
But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Welcome to the program. I'm yours truly, Samuel Njoroge, and this is the best way, only way to kickstart your morning. Nasi chocha. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hey.
As much as watu walikosa kupata memo, I thought we agreed we have a touch of black this morning. What happened?
She didn't get the mental Zoom call like Sam.
You didn't send those vibes, guys, and I'm here doing an African print.
You know, we didn't. Okay, Paul Sana.
But you look fantastic. You look
yes,
good.
Thank you, girl.
Girl, you look
but at
good.
least you got some gold going on, and I have.
And the hair is black.
So,
Oh yeah, the hair is black.
So your excuse for today. Ka Doreen angekuwa amevaa colors kama wewe.
Did you just call her colorful?
But I am.
Okay. It's usually a good term to use in fashion, right? I'm just asking.
Sam, we don't know how to respond to you. Please stop.
I'm not sure if that's a trick question because we were never too sure with where this guy is going. But welcome to the program. Jane Wambui wa Kefira Nights here.
Yeah.
Glad you are with us this morning. One day we should do each other's intros. Like I'll introduce myself as Sam, then Ray can be Jane, then Sam can be Ray.
No,
Yeah.
Sam should be Doreen. No.
You need to take care next week.
How would you do that, Jane? Is we you?
Is you is we.
Is you we?
We is we.
Is okay. There goes our voice of reason. No, Vanyana, calm down. Yeah, Vanyana, calm down to Leah, and everything is fine. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And we promise to make your Thursday worth your while.
Absolutely.
And a lot is coming up, and we promise today there will be no jump cuts. I hope the MCA is in the day list today. Lazima wekwe kwa trending topics. Unajua mwenye alisema kona watoto 10, so hawezi afford.
Tisa.
No, actually it's 9. He said 9 others.
Others.
So in total there are 10, and those are the ones that are documented. So He said he could not afford 20,000 Kenya shillings as upkeep. We are safe. We're good, man.
Jump cut. Jump
What
cut.
is happening? Guys, relax.
That was legit.
What has the war on terror done on you?
It was terrifying us.
Like, we can never experience a certain, and yeah, calm down. But everything is fine.
Everything is fine.
Sawa, tuko tu sawa. And yes, we will be kickstarting your morning. In the headlines is coming up. Kids Talk will also be part and parcel of content. And Jane Wamboi, from your end of things, what's happening?
We're going to be having the trending topics, y'all. But there's somebody in UG who wants to sue Museveni for his extended term in presidency. We'll be giving you all the details in a bit. So the hashtag you need to get on is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. Our individual handles at Sam W. Njoroge, at Ray Manyara, and at Jane Wamboi is how you can find us. So do tag us on your tweets and your posts on Facebook. We will be reading them as we proceed on with the show. But for now, we take a very quick breather before we get back with In the Headlines. All right, so we want to just get straight into this particular segment and to look at what the front page has for us this morning on the different dailies. I have a copy of the Daily Nation. And starting with the header up there, COVID surprise, could you have unknowingly contracted coronavirus? Remember, this is also coming on the background that, experts are saying that we have laxed and the potential of a second wave of infection coming to life is very high. So now the question is, could you unknowingly have coronavirus? We're going to be giving you details of that, just looking at some of the symptoms that are classical to COVID-19 and some that, are a bit masked but still point to COVID-19 and others that, tend to confuse but they mimic other illnesses but actually could be COVID-19. And also looking at those who are asymptomatic, we'll be giving you details of that. And still looking at the top there, more wrote at KEMSA, how Medical Supplies Agency opted to pay higher prices. Now, this was also a story that was highlighted on the Daily Nation yesterday, talking about a 63 million purchase that was done at the Medical Supplies Agency. We'll be delving into the details of that in a bit. But the main story there on the front page of the Daily Nation, the political landscape is already crowded with 83 registered by last Monday. 405 parties line up for the Ruto-Raila duel. Now, heightened activity at the registrar of political parties has been pointing to the power games and saying that, their schemes to cash in on the aggressive competition that is expected that the two rivals will go against each other for the presidential bid come 2022. Ruto and Raila, the attack of war continues. Looking at also still on the front page of the Daily Nation on the far right of your screen, the disappearance of a Thika millionaire puzzles colleagues around 9:30 a.m. on the 21st of September. A millionaire by the name Julius Gitau, aged 46, is said to have left his general merchandise wholesale shop in Thika in his yellow lorry and hasn't been seen since then. And the car that he was actually in was found some 3 kilometers away from that particular point. We'll be giving you details of that. And just the final main story there on the front page of the Daily Nation, time to open schools is now. Those are the words of Magoha. Details coming up as we get started, or rather as we continue with this segment.
Now looking at the issue of the Standard this morning being the 1st of October 2020, front page has been captured there with matters of that particular advisory from Maraga. Takes center stage on the front page of the Standard this morning. Maraga's Tano Tena gift for Uhuru, that is according to the Attorney General, fresh or longer. Now, the government's chief legal advisor argues that the term of MPs is tied by the law to the president and through the election date. And if the Chief Justice David Maraga's advice is heeded, then he cautions the dissolution of Parliament will inevitably alter the length for President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure. That's it. Now, the AG Kihara Karaoke says, if Parliament commences a fresh term which falls out of the constitutional date for a general election, the same will have to affect the office of the President, as ordinarily a presidential election may be held only on the same date as a general election for MPs. New twists and turns following that advisory for the dissolution of Parliament from Chief Justice David Maraga there. Now, also on the front page of the Standard, we have matters of education, where stakeholders are questioning whether Magoha, who is the CS of Education, is indecisive or just too cautious. Remember, there's already a memo out that tertiary institutions are to resume learning come October 5th, which happens to be next week. And this morning, we're going to be talking about that issue. Are we prepared? Are we ready to return to schools, whether it's the tertiary institutions, the universities, the colleges, the teacher training colleges as well? We'll be putting that into perspective. And now, those people who, financial services sector, what we call the disruption, fintech, is considered a disruption where you can now borrow from your bank or a certain app to your phone. Well, now when President Uhuru Kenyatta was giving that particular address on the way forward in regard to, COVID measures, well, he did not extend reprieve from being listed on the CRB. Yes. So if you have that outstanding loan, news flash is that starting today, borrowers will be required to start servicing their loans as they did before the COVID-19 pandemic struck. This means that if you had an arrangement with your bank to just either stagger or reduce your loan repayment, well, beginning today, you go back to where we were before COVID, because this is what the Exchequer has said, that is CBK. That is according to CBK governor. And also, if you fail to pay back that particular loan that you have, you will be listed. That expired yesterday. So things are thick, people. Things are thick.
Things are bright. Things are getting better.
Oh.
Cannot compare October and April. April things were bad. May became even worse. June worst.
October?
Aye, we're getting somewhere. Santa is baconing, and that's great. All right? And you've just taken a story there, and it left me wondering, all right, why would the CJ and the AG give that kind of legal interpretation? Because I thought Article 101 of the Constitution is clear. When the office of a member of parliament falls vacant, what is supposed to happen? I mean, it does not precipitate a general election. Why should it? It's just one office that has fell vacant. For example, if 2 MPs died, do we also elect a new president? Hypothetically speaking, God forbid. Do we also elect a new president? Because these things are provided for in law. And at times I feel like, well, I may not be quite the polished, learned friend, but I believe my brief interaction with the law directs me to Article 101 of the Constitution. But first things first, let's start. Okay? So now it has been revealed why KEMSA bosses are in trouble. You want to know why? The KEMSA scandal that has been going down, investigations, and even the health committee touring KEMSA and realizing that PPEs worth billions of shillings have been stashed somewhere in stores. And now they're talking about children resuming schools and they should be having branded masks. Do you see what they're trying to do? Yeah. Let me continue. Awarded multi-million shilling tenders to questionable companies. Pages 4 to 5 of the Star has this story for you. 83 billion COVID items worth. That figure bought at higher prices compared to the market rate. And then the health committee does a visit. Was it a week ago? And they realize that there are billions of shillings worth of PPEs, including masks and protective gear, that are just stored somewhere. And then Magoha tells us, watoto warudi shule na wanunue branded masks. All right. Okay. I have never absconded my duties. Those are not my words. They are those of Deputy President William Ruto. He responded to critics arguing that he has been absconding his duties, and he said, wewe ambaye unajidai nyapara, ulize rais kama shai nipatia kazi, nikakosa kuifanya na kuifanya with distinction. That is what the Deputy President said. Now, also, you remember the ad hoc committee that has been investigating the medical equipment scheme? Well, 30 million down the line, they rejected the report. I know. 30 million, 1 year down the line, they shot down the report. Is this even fair? Were legitimate questions asked, but the answers never provided? Or is it yet another classical case of being a sanitizer? That is what the Star is covering for you on the front page. And Wycliffe Muga has an opinion piece this morning, courtesy of what they're calling reforms within the tea industry. He is posing a question. Is there even a real problem within the tea sector? Now, that is the front page of the Star for you today. We will be getting in, just perusing through the pages and understanding the details to these and other stories that have been covered by this particular daily. They say smart people read the Star. No wonder I review it ever too often. I'm just saying.
Now let's get into the details. To the details of those stories that we have highlighted for you. Now, I will be focusing on that issue of the education sector now. An article here on page 6 of the Standard. The header is how name-dropping Magoha lost the plot on schools crisis. Yeah? And the scribe continues to just highlight Magoha's goofs. If I can just highlight them. He ruled out the reopening of schools without evidence that pupils will be super spreaders of the virus. The CS also failed to look at data from the hardest hit countries, which showed no evidence reopening schools would be responsible for the spike in cases. He should have allowed his proposals to be peer reviewed before presenting them to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Teachers were not involved in finding solutions to challenges such as overcrowding in classrooms, while the CS may have locked out crucial contributions from stakeholders by invoking the president's name, he said he appeared to like an order from Uhuru and not a suggestion from the CS. That is, in summary, this article there. You can get more details in regard to that particular piece. But now it is time to resume learning. That is what Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha says. And his reason, he says, he's citing neighboring countries that where learning has resumed. And he was speaking yesterday and said the stay of learners at home till January may not make any difference, as there was no guarantee that the COVID-19 situation would change drastically. Now, the CS also indicated that the government plans to consider phased reopening, with Form 4 and Standard 8 candidates being first to go back to school. Now, he was appearing at the National Assembly Education Committee before that particular committee to give an update on the preparations for the resumption of face-to-face learning. He further went on and cited what is happening in Zambia and Angola, which he said have resumed learning that was disrupted by the global pandemic. And also learning is going on in Tanzania and Burundi. That is what the CS was saying yesterday. And since we have the clips of that, his response, how about we just take a listen to what he exactly said while he was appearing before the National Assembly as Education Committee to give an update on the state of preparedness of our schools in that issue.
Speaking when he appeared before the Education Parliamentary Committee on Tuesday, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha told the MPs that it was time the country opened its schools, citing examples of neighboring countries which have allowed their students back after the pandemic.
What we are doing right now is ensuring that we do the best that we can, because right now in the region we are the only ones who are not open. So as we look at how we can improve the situation, especially masks and what have you, the issue of desks is ongoing. I hope there will be nobody going to court to stop the desk going to the poor children.
Magoha noted that the social distance will be a tall order, but expressed confidence that with employment of some mitigation factors like face masks, students can be kept safe in schools.
The concept is to start with the examination class. I can see Honorable Milemba shaking his head. But if you look at the map, I'm sure you see this. It is not my decision. The teachers, with permission of government, were recalled to schools only a few days ago. And we are going to work with them to ensure that no child is necessarily exposed.
He said the ministry will ensure all learners have successfully been readmitted to their respective institutions of learning, reassuring parents that no academic year will be lost.
All the children will be taken back to school. You are forgetting that when His Excellency pronounced himself on 100% transition, we went round and got girls who gave birth 3 years before and took them back to class.
According to Magoha, all public primary schools will receive at least 7 desks under the 1.9 billion shillings schools infrastructure program, with secondary schools receiving 50 desks each. Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang told MPs that the ministry had already disbursed payment of some 27,000 verified Board of Management teachers, and those omitted will get their salaries soon.
It would only have been fair to have a schedule of schools where these petitioners are saying have not paid them.
The push to reopen schools also got backing from the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Secretary General Wilson Sosion, who expressed confidence that everything would fall in place once classes resume.
It is time to open schools, and everything will fall in place once that agreement has been reached. The rest will fall in place. The mask will come, water will come, because this is a country that mobilizing resources and doing things has not been so difficult. Even if we are talking about availability of 1 million masks when we need 30 million, that will be availed.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Well, that was yesterday there, and CS Education there, Professor George Magoha, also indicated that some corporates had committed to provide face masks and sanitizers for the schools once they reopen. So we may just as well resume learning before the end of the year. I don't know what your take is, given that tertiary institutions are set to resume face-to-face learning come October 5th.
Let's wait and see how that is going to pan out. I mean, they are going to set the precedents on what we should expect as by the time all the rest of the students are reporting back to school. Now let's get to have a look at the Daily Nation, and this is one of the stories that is on the front page of the Daily Nation, talking about a rot at the KEMSA, how Medical Supplies Agency opted to pay higher prices. Now, getting to the details of this particular story is that the management at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority rejected discounts. They rejected discounts by suppliers for the COVID-19 related items, and this is what was revealed after a special audit was done, raising the red flag on the controversial tendering, which may cost the taxpayer an upwards of 2.3 billion Kenya shillings. 2.3. Because they rejected discounts. Now, according to this forensic audit by the Auditor General, they found that the KEMSA officials chose to pay 4,500 a pack for a pack of 50 face masks, which are way above the 3,183 quoted by suppliers, the market price. Variation equivalent to about 41%. Now, this report that was tabled in Parliament said Miss Gladlab Supplies Limited had on April 9th offered to supply KEMSA with surgical face masks with ear loops at a discounted price of $30, that is 3,183 per box, down from an earlier quote of 4,750. Now, the Auditor General said that the KEMSA CEO, however, ignored the discounted offer, and instead requested the company to supply the items for 4,500 a pack, and had alleged that they had previously agreed during negotiations between the supplier and the agency's tender evaluation committee. Now, speaking to this, Ms. Gathungu said that in view of the above significant inconsistencies, the price determination for the supply of 30,000 units of surgical face masks which are disposable, 3-ply ear loops, is in question. An analysis of the price of the letter of intent that was dated 9th of April and the award price reveals that public funds of up to 39.51 million were potentially lost in just the purchase of these masks. In total, it revealed that KEMSA, or rather it implied that KEMSA is going to realize a loss of about 2.33 billion if the products are to be sold at the current market prices. And this is taxpayers' money, y'all. Now, most of this equipment are just lying in their warehouses because they are way above the market prices, and it seems that KEMSA is, they need to do a comprehensive assessment of the COVID-19 purchases. Now they're stuck with stock worth about 6.34 billion Kenya shillings in its warehouses.
Well, even as I usher you into a break, it's proper to note that the cabinet or the chief administrative secretary in the Ministry of Health, that is Rashid Aman, yesterday, as he gave the COVID-19 update in the country, indicated that our curve or the positivity rate is still below the 5%, meaning if we are able to sustain this within the next 14 days, then as per the World Health Organization standards and protocol, we will be deemed to have flattened the curve. Don't we wish that happens? Well, all you need to do is to exercise citizen responsibility. That story is on page 2 of the Star, which takes us to a break, and we'll be back with much more after these messages.
Excuse me, who is this trying to call me with his gadget? Please, before you call me Professor Ouma, you should have a telecommunicative device. My friend, we professors, we do not walk, we locomote. We do not drive problem boxes, yani probox.
To get Professor, bonyeza star 811 star 759 hash. Dial star 811 star 759 hash.
Yote ndawaidu iko tu sawa kwa macho yako.
Unataka kuwako?
Ati nini? Why are you people shouting?
Are you okay?
Mwanamke ninakuona sana. Ni wanaume hapa Mombasa wameisha.
Ni nini mbaya? Nowadays we have so many unfaithful people.
What?
Need to talk about her every time we are together.
And be very careful the way you address me.
Zako zinakuangaje? Huwezi kaa dakika mbili hata bila kuteta.
You will all sign new contracts.
And I am supposed to be briefed.
What? Taki ujinga.
Oof.
On. By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu aniae teketeke.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo.
Mbaya.
Basi mtu akioa huko mzee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever Shiro did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Oh.
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaning you up and keeping you away from the family.
Mimi siwezi taka kuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini kama umekufia hiyo dem, usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagonga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in a cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Welcome back to the show. Na kuna watu wanakuanga rada, by the way.
Mbaya.
Hebu semeni ka rada. Huh?
Karada.
Apparently now, there's someone who sent me a message about the first day of the 10th month. Can I read out this message? It's pretty short. Says, as per Genesis chapter 8 verse 5, that the waters continued to recede until the 10th month. On the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. Akaendelea kusema, many of all the waters in your life, be it financial, family, career, health, will continue to recede in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Amina.
We claim it.
Season 10.
It's going to be good.
You know, some of us never celebrated our birthdays. 2020 did not count.
We'll celebrate mine. It's okay. Tutashikanisha zetu zote.
Yeah,
We'll celebrate it on
next
my
year,
birthday.
one big happy one.
No, my birthday is yet to come.
I'm so worried about conversations around next year. When the year began, 2019, we were all like, this 2020 is a year of double blessings. This is
my year.
We are in Jumanji's
No, the thing about this year is that we've already dispatched a select committee
to go ahead into the future.
Yeah, to just look into 2021. They should be giving us a report by November, so that December we plan our festivities vizuri.
Around.
While 31st hatuvuki. Kama hii situation ina persist.
Tunabaki.
1st January 2021 will be 32nd of December 2020.
No.
Before we decide.
refuse to can.
Now talking about festivities, there's an article here that highlights, you know, Kenyans and how they reacted to President Uhuru Kenyatta's reopening of, you know, places of, you know, bars and such. So this is on page 10. Cheers to good old times as revelers quench their thirst. Yeah, image is nothing, thirst is everything. Captured there on page 10. Yes, you can see that, yeah? I wonder where the masks were in this. Then someone tells me, like, you can't eat with a mask on and you can't also drink with a mask on. So the masks were in the bags and on the table, and, you know, and Kenyans just had a good time. So this being Thursday, which is our new Friday, you know what? That might just be happening. Now, in this article, the scribe continues to just highlight, you know, a spot check on what was happening there. And quoted there is one manager of XS Millionaire Club in Nairobi, Baricho Road. And he's quoted saying, today we open our doors to the public after a long wait for the president to open the economy. People missed the night fun. That is according to Ahmed, who is the manager of X Millionaires Club in Nairobi, Baricho Road. Yeah. Then also DJs were not left out of the party either. Now DJ exclusive, thrilled fans, you know, it's just about a different turn when it comes to the entertainment industry. Earlier this week we were talking about the way cinema and film has also changed over COVID. You know, guys, just drive-ins are back. You know, we just brought back, COVID brought back the 80s, 70s kind of how to spend your time. You know, drive somewhere, watch a film under the skies. We're yet to do that as a team. We'll be keeping you, you know, informed on how that works, depending on those people who are going to be who are going to come and how we are all going to behave. So it's a spot check. I wonder if we're going to come 2 weeks after when the Ministry of Health is going to be giving us an update on the COVID-19 infections. Now with the reopening of bars, or rather nightclubs, then my worry is we might have a surge in transmission of the virus. That is my greatest worry, but as they say, as these business people are commenting and saying, it was about time, looking at the entertainment industry, how many people are employed in it directly and how many indirectly benefit from the entertainment industry. It's a matter of wait and see then for the next 14 days. Well, but I'm happy that you can sit somewhere and enjoy good music with good company.
All right, and speaking about the spread of COVID-19,
You can actually sit somewhere and enjoy your drinks. Linda, follow her on Instagram. That's all I can say.
to see her sitting down somewhere and enjoying her dawa.
Na sasa nataka tukue na collective responsibility.
GE.
Ati we are yet as a team. Kila mtu ataubeba mzigo wake.
Kindly, have you had your good morning tea this morning? Well, there's some tea here, so yeah.
All right, now
sip.
According to the Daily Nation, and this is a research that was done by Medic, it is now imagined that nearly half of the population here in Kenya may have actually contracted COVID-19 and did not know, because you could have gotten it and recovered without really knowing. All right. Now, and this is especially coming out now as life is slowly returning to normal. But scientists are saying that the numbers that are actually being reported right now are also still attributed to the low testing capacity. But according to their data and what they have seen in the general population is that nearly half of the population could have actually contracted COVID and recovered from it, because out of all the counties, there is at least one case in all the 47 counties. In as much as some counties have not been mentioned as, and reporting these cases, at least 40 counties have experienced different stages of the pandemic, and each county at least having one case. Now, according to the Ministry of Health, they have now changed the testing strategy, given that 93% of all positive cases are asymptomatic. And this means you are a carrier of the virus, but you're not showing symptoms that are classic to COVID-19. And now they are targeting only symptomatic patients to, and this is due to the challenges that they get in testing and the reagents that are also required and the supplies when it comes to the testing of COVID-19. And given that most cases in the country are asymptomatic or mild, there could be a silent spike of the disease, and the lack of symptoms could make it continue to spread silently, and especially now that the country has been partially reopened following His Excellency's directive. And I remember about a month and a half back, there was an upsurge in the number of people who were reporting coughs and kawaida, what we call kawaida homas, yeah? And this actually could be what this particular story is talking about, the fact that so many people may have contracted COVID, but you recovered from it because it was very mild, you are not as symptomatic as is expected, and generally, you don't have to worry about it now, but the fact that the economy and the country has partially been reopened, there could potentially be another silent spike in the spread of this disease.
Wow.
Yeesh. I have a feeling that
listening to Jane warming up on some tea here, and as I go through the.
But Sam,
yes,
have you found yourself sneezing or coughing and thinking, "Kai, nisikuwe na COVID"?
Sometime in Feb, yes.
Okay.
No, for real. I think early Feb. There was a time I showed up somewhere for a diplomatic engagement, and then when nilitoka huko, I almost suspected, all right, are we still saying this thing has not landed in Kenya? Because I started feeling weird, but it cleared over time. I really took up the zinc and the concoctions and stuff like that. Maybe I was tripping because I never went for any testing, but I'm fine now. But yes, as you say, for me, it happened way before we even reported our first case in March.
Ray, did you find yourself shaking yourself at some point? A random cough, a random sneeze, and like, hold up.
I see. My situation is rather different.
Yeah.
Also, I tried testing for COVID, I think 3 times, and every time I got to the queue, those reagents just,
the testing kits were
over. They quished on me like 3 times. And I said, maybe this is a universe talking to me. It spoke to me the first time, the second time, and the third time I heeded to the call. Don't test.
It's okay.
Don't test. So so this is 3 times, so I won't test. I'll keep up my vitamin C, the zinc and such, and and coffee, and then I was like, oh, thank God, no fever, no nothing to date. And yes, universe, I'm still listening. I'm still listening. Yes. So yeah, I might have had it. Sometimes I think I did. Then I got
But we've all gone through that moment of paranoia.
Yeah. Yes.
How many times did you ever wake up in the middle of the night with a bit of a fever and you're thinking, okay.
Oh God, COVID.
Okay, here we are.
Or even a child, you see, me, I got 2 daughters. So one of them just sneezes And I'm like, oh my God, COVID.
Alikuwa wapi leo?
Alikuwa wapi? Na nani? You know, such issues. I think we are in that state of anxiety because of this pandemic. And when you hear experts saying that this is a new normal, we need to get into the program and know that this is not going to end anytime soon. I'm still waiting for the anxiety levels to calm down. Personally, they haven't, and that's why I had even a problem with the reopening of schools, like total reopening of schools, because I was wondering, will my 4-year-old maintain social distancing? She shares a classroom with others. I don't know about their homes. Look at the bus situation. Look at the dining. Look at the classroom. God forbid. That gave me a lot of anxiety as a parent. So I'm not too sure we are ready. The anxiety levels are still very high up.
Yeah, but we hope everything goes on fine.
Can only
we
hope
really
for the
do
best.
Hope everything goes on fine, and we do hope for the best that kila kitu itakuwa tu sawa at the end of the day. And we are able to overcome this. Guys, you remember back in 2007, there was this case about the Berlin patient. You remember it? In 2007, now the Berlin patient, popularly known as Timothy, his name is actually Timothy Ray. He was the first person to be cured of HIV in Berlin back in the year 2007, courtesy of a bone marrow transplant. Now, unfortunately, Timothy is dead, and he died of cancer. That's the story right there on the 16th page of the Star. As much as his case had presented a lot of hope and a lot of, evidence that finding a cure for HIV could be a reality within this decade. I mean, the fact that now this is all sort of kinda attributed to that transplant, I don't know what that means for the 37 million people living with HIV as we speak. And it is quite a story, because when you read it through and you even get the message from his partner about how the story has been between them and how they have, they thought they had overcome HIV, and then boom, cancer strikes, and now he's gone. It's quite an interesting piece on page 16 of the Star. Also, Medix commenting on the nature of evidence that has existed on whether or not there will be a cure, or even at least a vaccine for HIV. So that story now is on page 16 of the Star. Unfortunately, and by God's planning, Berlin patient, that is Timothy Ray, who was cured of HIV back in the year 2007 after a surgery was conducted there. He was called the Berlin patient because the surgery was conducted in Berlin back in the year 2006, and by the year 2007 he was declared as HIV free. But right now he's dead, and may his soul rest in peace.
That is just hope dashed there. The HIV and AIDS scourge has, left quite a mark, especially within the African continent. And this was, a trial in science that looked very promising, only for him to succumb to cancer. Anyway, may his soul rest in peace. We will keep, I'm sure, doctors, the people within the medical, fraternity, this is not the end. We will get a cure at some point. We will.
All right, let's look at this particular story here on the Daily Nation. It is called Dance with Death, a health crisis nobody wants to address. So getting to the details is that since the advent of devolution back in 2013, excuse me, at least one county witnesses healthcare workers go on strike every single month of the year. And with that, so many Kenyans have had to pay the ultimate price, leaving floods of tears behind. And the most recent case was what happened at the Kenyatta National Hospital just earlier on in the week. This week on Monday, where a patient died at the parking lot of Kenyatta National Hospital because he wasn't attended to. He was a motorbike rider. He was involved in an accident, was taken to Kenyatta National Hospital. Unfortunately, he succumbed right outside there at the parking lot. And according to the representatives there, they say that, he did not die because of negligence, but rather his condition was very severe, and that is why he passed on. But looking at the way health has remained in the country, is that and especially the intensive care units, they have never been fixed, and there's so many people who always need life support. And health workers in 10 counties are on strike, with several deaths already reported, and this is now in the current time that we are in. It is the patients who are now suffering as the devolved governments and workers union continue to fight. Now, from Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi to Mombasa, Bungoma, Turkana, and several other counties, it has been a tale of death, despair, and pain. Kenya has also witnessed its longest strike by doctors, which began on the 5th of December 2016 and ended on the 14th of March in 2017, a record 100 days. That is the longest strike that has been experienced here in Kenya. And as if that was just not enough, the doctors' actions was followed by another 150-day nurse strike that began 3 months later. This is all pegged on the CBA that was agreed but failed to be implemented on back in 2012, where medics were supposed to have their pay structures reviewed, their job groups reviewed. And looking at Kenyatta National Hospital as a most recent example, is that Kenyatta National Hospital was reclassified from a 3C category to a 7A, and that meant that all the staff in Kenyatta National Hospital were due for a promotion, and a promotion means more money. And to date, that has not been implemented, and they are saying they are owed a total of 601 million Kenya shillings. And today we are living in a country where at least every month, one county, there must be medics who are going on strike. Now, dance with death.
Wow. And as you talk about that, at some point you saw an image on your screen about Calligraph Jones being nominated for 2020 BET Awards. I'll be telling you more about that. But as the camera person was busy taking this story, she just decided, mimi nishike gazeti asome story ya Mutara. I don't know whether you guys know a musician called Dennis Mutara. He sings Kikuyu gospel, and he was trying to explain in one of the entertainment interviews in this country why he has not sung or released a single song in 6 years. And he had an accident. He has been recuperating, and he spoke about that during this interview. So Jane, there you go. That is why Mutara is on page 19 of the Star today. But let's move on to the fact that...
when you say Jane?
Mugoiri.
Bas.
Not one boy, Mugoiri. She's one of our amazing camera persons in this studio. So there you go. Calligraph Jones has been nominated for the 2020 BET Awards. That's the story right there. Okay, they are scheduled to go down on the 27th of October, and Papa Jones has earned his first nomination in the Best International Flow category. As among the 2 Africans nominated, the other one is Nasty C. So he will battle with the likes of South Africa's Nasty C, Brazil's Jonga, France's Caris, and from the UK, I beg your pardon, Stormzy too. So that is Calligraph Jones for you, nominated for the 2020 BET Awards, which will be going down on the 27th rather of October this year. Congratulations to you, Papa Jones, flying the flag high. We do hope, we trust, and we will do all that it takes to get it home. Amanyaje, Wazito, Wadau.
2020.
2020.
We're bringing it home.
Yeah. Jumanji season 10.
Level 10, y'all.
Level 10, like, representing. You can see now the water is receding.
Yes.
And we can begin to see the mountain tops.
The first day of the 10th
praise
month.
the Lord. Yeah, so there you have it. I don't know what our Mhenga has to say about this, Ray. No? Okay. We move on swiftly. Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. Let's bring it home.
Yeah.
Now, talking about bringing things home. Now, a phone gift has brought misery and pain to a family down in Nyeri. Now, for a family of 5 children in Kiawara, Nyeri, a gift from their father to their mother has turned their lives upside down, with a couple arrested and held in remand for the last 7 months in Kingongo Remand Prison. Story on page 22 of the Standard. this morning. So apparently, the man is alleged to have given his wife a mobile phone that was stolen as a gift. Mambo ya kununua simu kwa streets tafadhali. Just stop. You end up in dire situations such as this. Now, 5 children here have not yet been picked by the children's department yet. Then the couple was arrested in March and has left 5 siblings aged between 17 and 3 years. Now, the 17-year-old has had to take up now the role of being a parent to his own siblings, you know, after the arrest of their parents there for 7 months now. Now, well, this story was being written by one Linda Nyawera. Apparently, the Nyeri County Director, Children's Department, Moneki Kongo, has denied speaking to the administrator of the Children's Department in regard to this matter, but said that the office would carry out a home visit and prepare an assessment. Remember, these children need to be taken care of by the Children's State Department to find them homes, because look at the age, they're all underage, age of 17 to 3, and they have been alone for the last 7 months. Yeah, getting support from just a neighbor who goes by the name of Tabitha, a good Samaritan, who's been trying to just you know, accommodate the children. Imagine, where are they living, what are they eating for the last 7 months. So I hope intervention comes to them in good time before it's too late. 17, there's a 17-year-old, 13-year-old, 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old alone without parents for the last 7 months, sorry. Why? Because allegedly the man that is their father gifted the mom a stolen phone. Yeah. Please buy these gadgets from a certified, you know, retailer. Get a receipt such that when it becomes, when the going gets rough, you can actually produce your documentation. See, this is avoidable.
Regina, Ray.
I'm just saying, bono nunue simu kwa. Anyway,
those people who randomly approach you in town, they tap
street.
your shoulder, and they're like,
Madam, iPhone.
The streets, guys.
They're not safe.
The streets.
Be street smart.
And a majority of the hassle happens
on the streets.
Yes.
I agree, but
it is what it is. Ushikwapo shikamana, ukiona ni mbaya pia wewe uza.
Allah, now see, 5 children here. 5 children have been left without their parents for the last 7 months.
That's what I'm saying. When you make some of these decisions, all right, you know how we try and account for them and try and sanitize them. You made a decision to do it. If it lands you in trouble, maneuver yourself out of it.
I wish it was just the 2, but now 5 children, innocent
That's
children.
the sad part.
Are hurting. I mean,
because those are now victims of circumstances.
Yeah.
But as there's another way of looking at it. I'm just trying to be holistic and objective in this conversation. Regina is going to ask you to go for a receipt. Kuna mtu mwingine atakwambia ukishikwapo shikamana. Ukipata ni mbaya pia wewe kungia hivyo tu. Like I can't even say, I can't believe I'm saying that.
He ended chain.
Yeah. Iyo. Yeah, wafanya hivyo, Jay. There you
go. Okay.
Ray, I think we need to orient you around the street.
In all my short or long life, I have never purchased an electronic gadget without a receipt.
But then
and
neither
those people
have
who come to the streets like, Madam, iPhone.
No, neither
Take
have
off.
we. Jane, have we?
Take
no.
off.
Honestly, we haven't.
Man, you're going to
It's
land,
just that at
you're
times
going
we
to land
interact
in
with the
prison.
streets and we know what exactly goes on there.
So yeah, no,
But then I had a very interesting trip on Monday somewhere, and I came across a group of people that just changed my worldview. Now that you mentioned that, okay, they really changed my worldview.
How so?
Because you realize how much you have and you may not be appreciating it, and someone can do so much more with just a tenth of what you have.
Yeah.
You know, someone who does not have a home, someone who does not have a means of living, they are 14, 15 years old, but that is their life, street life. And on the flip side, it has its vices and all, but also, I mean, like I toured a dump site, guys, and there's families living there.
Yeah.
And some are making as much as 90K in a month.
Oh, I know.
You get now what I'm talking about?
Recycling.
There are two versions of being a hustler in the streets. I don't know about politically, but in streets, there are two versions of it. I mean, there is the ugly part, but there are also those who are street smart. It doesn't make them thieves. It doesn't make them misfits. It simply makes them people who've understood their reality, and they're able to make their own pockets of sunshine out of it.
Yeah.
Which I feel, for me, that is a story that is never told. And I think we should, right here on The Only Way to Start Your Day.
Absolutely.
Kids Talk one of these fine days.
Takupeleka
huko uone what some of these street families are actually doing. Na takataka tu. Na mtu anatengeneza 90K yake tu poa.
Okay. Yeah. Now let us take a short break. When we return, we're going to be finding out from our guests as well as you. Do you think we are ready, for resumption of face-to-face learning, given that come October 5th, tertiary institutions are set to resume? Do not go away. We'll be right back.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1 for a program that is objective and offers answers to matters economic, security, social, political, food, infrastructure, and setting the agenda. Join us for Charging Currents.
President Uhuru Kenyatta outlined his vision for the country.
I am just showing you what potential exists in this country if only we could just become visionary leaders. All of us together and work together in partnership.
A vision of development and economic growth for the benefit of every Mwananchi. Every week on Project 254.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
People gonna say all kind of things about you. With them on, just shake up. Need to mush you and done to mush you. When your booty gon' show me now. Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180. Crazy. Trago y ella la botella. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it. Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you. Choro, 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 choro. Get the pago, get the pago, get the pago. Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe. Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya, tekenya.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani?
Nimeangalia kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayuko.
Wewe wacha mchezo.
Mtoto ndo nani?
Wewe ndiye mlevu?
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua iko hapa kwa mpuko. Lakini hataki kusikia bado mambo ya huyu mtoto.
Kwa mafungo zako bwana.
Ya?
Next on.
By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu aniawe tikitiki.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo
Mbaya.
basi mtu akioa huku mazee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever Shiro did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Oh.
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaning you up and keeping you away from the family.
Mimi siwezi taka kuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini kwa umekufia hiyo dem usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagaunga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in a cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Yes. Time to reopen schools is now and not January, says Professor George Magoha tells MPs yesterday. And that is what we're having a conversation about. Remember, come Monday, tertiary institutions are to resume face-to-face learning. Are we ready? What do you feel about that? So that's a conversation this morning. Hashtag KBC Kids Talk. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News. Mine is at Ray Manyara. I have Jane Wamboy at Sam W. Njoroge. Get tweeting. Tell us what is your feel about this? So we're talking about issues of resumption of learning within the tertiary institutions. Are we ready? In the meantime, we have 1 billion shillings set aside for face masks for schools, as well as, you know, October 19th is a date for furniture delivery. Now we have guests from different parts of, yes, this are my guests this morning. We're going to be having this conversation with all of them, representing different counties this morning. The conversation is, are we ready for the resumption of face-to-face learning? Monday, tertiary institutions are going to begin that, or rather resume face-to-face learning. Introducing my first guest is Xavier from Kisumu. Good morning, Xavier.
Good morning.
Great to have you on board. What is your take in regard to the resumption of face-to-face learning in tertiary institutions?
Yeah, basically, I do not think if you are 100% ready. But when you look to other areas, other countries, learning process has started. So I think I will go with the president direction that let us start with a phase progress of learning. So even if the candidates were supposed to finish campus, we can start with their slow resumption as they come to campus.
Mm-hmm. So just tell us, Xavier, which campus you attend, which institution you attend, which year, and what are you pursuing?
I'm at University of Nairobi, 4th year, and I'm doing journalism. And for me, I will want to come and finish my course this year and graduate this year. So I support the resumption fully.
Thank you very much, Xavier. All the best. I hope that you get to complete your studies at the University of Nairobi. Now we're talking about resumption of face-to-face learning at tertiary institutions. Xavier, who is currently in Kisumu, he is with the program and says, yes, that's good, that's fine, that's the direction that we need to take. My next guest, Rono?
Yes.
Good morning, how are you? Just give us a brief introduction of who you are, your name, where you're live from, and what course you're pursuing, and where.
Good morning. I'm Lona Chepkirui I'm live from Bomet County, and I'm in Multimedia University pursuing a course in computer technology on my 3rd year.
Wow, interesting. Bomet County. Thank you very much for representing Bomet County this morning. So are you ready for, the resumption of face-to-face learning, within tertiary institutions? What's your take?
Actually, I'm ready because we've been at home for the longest time. I'm ready, but I think the first opening, the final years first, I think it's the right way to go about it, and then they'll see if we'll resume. The rest of us can go back. Yeah.
Now, given that I know Multimedia University, are you a boarder or are you a scholar? Definitely, maybe a boarder. Do you reside within the university?
Do I what?
Do you reside within the university? Are you within the hostel or are you renting out somewhere?
I'm renting out.
Yeah. Good. Now, my question, why I've asked you this question is about shared amenities within the university. Are you confident that you will be able to maintain social distancing within, the premise?
That would be hard to maintain social distancing. That would be hard, but we could try. We could take the risk and try follow the directives. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lorna, coming live from Bomet there. Third year at the Multimedia University says that she's open to, to this, but says that we need, she's kind of worried. She's also anxious about, maintaining social distancing once they resume learning. Monday, October 5th, we go back to learning, phased reopening of tertiary institutions. Now that is it. Let's we are asking you to come in on board and give us your feedback. Remember, we are live at www.kbc.co.ke. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. We have the station's Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1 News. Now, just to sample some of the feedback that we're already getting, someone on Facebook here. Let me find that as we introduce our next guest. John Kamau is asking, what exactly are teachers doing in school without students? John Kamau says, he's asking, what exactly are teachers doing in school without students? Some had to report before actually Monday, and for planning to, the phased reopening of the schools, where now we have the Education Cabinet Secretary there, Professor George Magoha, saying the time is now and not January. Other countries have done it while appearing before the committee, the Education Committee yesterday. He cited that Zambia, Angola, we have resumed learning that was disrupted by the global pandemic, as well as Tanzania and Burundi. Are we ready though? Come Monday. We're still expecting feedback. Thank you very much, John Kamau. You didn't tell us where you're watching the broadcast from, but we appreciate that you are with us in this program. Keep tweeting, send in the SMSs, send in the Facebook. You can get us also on Facebook because we are live there, www.kbc.co.ke. My next guest, Timothy Ekesa, who is the director of CAC. Good morning, Timothy. How are you?
How are you? Good to see you in October.
Great to see you in October. We are saying Jumanji's episode, season 10 or episode 10. We will get there. It's a 12th season Jumanji episode. We'll get there. So what is your take in regard to the phased reopening? And we're starting off with the tertiary institutions come Monday.
I think it is a good thing, but the same question that the president raised, it is not actually the when, but it's the how. How are we going to open? How are we prepared for the opening? I like what Sylvia and Lorna has talked about, saying, yeah, we'll try. We've been at home for long. And you asked her a very good question, whether she's a resident or not. I know that most of the students are actually staying out of the college. Have they already booked the rooms that they left? That would be a big question. Like I'm a father of a first year also who is joining university. And the big question is that she's supposed to go to the hostel. She's not even identified the hostel, they are not there. So for me, the big question is the how. And for me, the how is a question we should have asked from March, not from now. So as much as we are preparing, it's very important for us to actually be addressing the how and not the when. Because the when can even be tomorrow. But how prepared are we? How are the students prepared? How psychologically are they prepared? Do they have accommodation? Have the places been made? And for me, are they also involved? What are their views? These students have got leadership in these universities. Have they consulted with the leadership of the university to find out what the students are also thinking about coming back? Because many of them want to finish university, but the question remains how.
The question remains how. Now, going forward, what do you think? We said these conversations, we should have had them in March, but hey, we're having these conversations in October then. What next? Are you seeing a situation where we will resume resumption of full force, or rather 100% learning in tertiary institutions between now and December?
I think to me it is possible as long as we address the how, because the truth is that most of the institutions have not been used for a very long time. And maybe this first resumption of learning will be so useful, but still we need to do it together jointly and be able to have landmarks. The biggest thing is to have a clear roadmap of what we need to do and have various scenarios. If at all we are going to go back to university in first, we are saying, I know there are some dates have been given for terms. Can we have a plan B? What if we have some second round of infections taking? What if we have some students who still have psychological problems? Have we put everything in place to ensure that once we resume, it will be about learning and it will not be about firefighting, and it will not be about trial, so that we are just making us a trial. Because I know some countries like Botswana, they have opened their schools like 5 times since July. They open, they have a child who is infected, they close, they open, they close. And it is reached a time right now that I know that in one school, they are now actually asking parents to vote whether they want children to learn online or whether they want them to go to learn in school. And they are saying if they get 75%, then they'll actually say 75% saying we don't want to open, then they'll continue with online learning. Because for that country, most of those school children are actually learning right now. But for Kenya, I know that maybe only 10% of the students, even the university, are learning. The rest are not learning.
Thank you very much, Timothy Ekesa, who is live from Nairobi there. He's the executive director at CAC, saying the question is, how do we, once we go back, and it's not, the resumption should be about learning and not firefighting, do we have a plan B? Do not go away, we'll still be, needing your input in this course of this particular discussion. I rope in my next guest. I'm roping in my next guest as we prepare to get my next guest on board this conversation. We're asking you, do you think we are ready? Come Monday, tertiary institutions are going to be opening up their doors after, being off for 6 months. We've had from, Lorna as well as Xavier, who are saying they're ready to go back, complete their courses. However, they are worried about the issue of shared amenities and the issue of social distancing, says a parent, guardian, teacher, lecturer. Are we ready for face-to-face learning? That's the conversation we're having, and the hashtag is hashtag KBC Kids Talk. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News, as well as mine at Ray Manyara. Get tweeting. John Kamau earlier had asked what teachers are doing in school without the children. Now, this just to answer, or rather quote the CS there. He says that teachers have been recalled in order for them to start preparing for the eventual reopening of schools, to prepare lesson plans and to ensure that school syllabus is covered. That is answering John Kamau's question. That is John Kamau, in response to John Kamau there, is that teachers have been recalled in order for them to start preparing for the eventual reopening of schools, as well as to prepare lesson plans and to ensure that school syllabus is covered. John Kamau, that is what the CS Magoha had to say in regard to just why teachers had to report to school beginning of this week. Now, introducing my next guest. This is Cyrus. Good morning, Cyrus. How are you? Good morning, Cyrus. Great to have you on board. Just give us an overview of where you are right now, and if you're in campus, which campus you are attending, and what you're pursuing.
Yes, my name is Silas. I'm currently in Busia County. I'm in Kenyatta University. I'm studying tourism and hospitality, and I'm in 4th year.
Thank you very much. Now, what is your take in regard to this conversation? Come Monday, you expect that the universities, colleges are opening up their doors after 6 months. What's your take?
My view is that no, we are ready. We are more than ready to go back to school. My concern is not even about social distance and even the COVID-19 regulations. My concern is somehow on the exams. Schools, it has been assumed that we've been learning while at home. And then most of these schools, when we are going to reopen, we're being told that the exams are on our way. like someone like Karatina, they're going to start their exams on Monday once they reopen. I find it quite unrealistic because the assumptions that we've been studying while at home, it doesn't even make sense. That.
So is this to say that you've not been, catching up with some learning? I think
yes.
Some institutions have been saying that they're offering online courses. Have you attended or rather had online learning? Have you participated?
Absolutely, yes. I do not agree with that because personally, I may have the privilege to have attended and even had interacted with some lecturers. But I have my colleagues, many of them who have been complaining, and they have not been in a position even to attend some of these classes.
So in your view then, to address this concern about the examinations here then, what recommendations would you have?
I think the best way to go about it, we just need to go back to school, reopen. Then once we reopen, then I guess we should start with revision of all those units we've been studying while at home. For like a month before you can even think of doing an exam. But coming out right away from home and then you are being told to go and sit for an examination, I don't think it's going to work well with most of these institutions.
Silas, let me be a devil's advocate in this situation, yeah? Yes. You have been studying for the last 4 years, and there's this saying that yes. The exam does not wholly capture just the last 1 year of your course. It will actually encompass what you have studied for the last 3 years. So one would say then it is right to say that you are ready to have your examinations if you are going to be tested on what you have learned for the last 3 years. What's your take if I was to say that? What would you say?
I will speak for myself as a university student, as a fourth year, because we it's based on the units that you've done for that semester. Mm-hmm. Now for this semester, we've been learning at home the whole semester, which means any student who didn't make to have internet or this Zoom meeting was not able to go through the course, and I don't think any student reporting to school in such situation will be able to sit for an exam and do it comfortably.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Now, to pick your brain for what is happening, we've seen the COVID-19 distractions have really impacted on the hospitality industry. As a student who is, working within this industry, how do you think, what have you seen, or rather, what lessons can our tourism and hospitality industry learn, from these COVID disruptions?
For the tourism industry, I understand things are very tough and things have been tough. Most of these premises have been closed down for the last 6+ more months. People have lost their jobs. And so lessons to be learned for the industry are many, and I'll not actually dig more into that because I'm not yet out there, and I still don't know how things work out there. I'm still in school.
Okay, that is a very smart response. Thank you very much, Senator, for coming in on board and weighing in on this conversation. All the best. When you go back to school come Monday, safe journey there. Next guest this morning, remember, we are still talking about the state of preparedness. Are we ready? Are we ready for resumption of face-to-face learning? Now we cross over to Kakamega County with Solomon. Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Good morning, Regina.
Great. So tell us which course you pursue and from where or where?
Okay, I'm Odembo Solomon. I pursue bachelor in education, that is art, at KBC University.
Say that again. I didn't quite get. Where? KCA? What did you say? I didn't quite hear that.
I pursue education in KBC University, third year.
Ah, good, KBC. What do you have to say in regard to this phased reopening of tertiary institutions? We begin on Monday.
I think I can say we are somehow prepared in a way that we should not just sit back and wait for other countries to reopen. We should try by ourselves. So I think we should try by ourselves with the slots, like fourth year to begin first, of which that's a good idea. Me as a third year, I will see from fourth years.
Mm-hmm. It seems we are having a connection problem there with Solomon, who is live from Kakamega. He is pursuing a Bachelor of Arts Education in KBC University, saying that he is for the idea that is a phased reopening of tertiary institutions come Monday 5th. Yes, and earlier on we had heard from a fourth year, who is Silas, saying that he's ready for that, but his concern is about the examination, saying the assumption that they have been studying while schools, the institutions have been closed, well, is not representative of what is currently happening on ground, and says that highlights the inequality in learning there. Monday, we expect to resume learning in our tertiary institutions. Now, let me hear from Natalie, who is in Nairobi. Good morning, Natalie. How are you?
Good morning, Regina.
Great to have you. Now, tell us, what do you think about, Monday? Universities are going to be opening up their doors on Monday. What's your take?
I think the first reopening is a good idea, especially because we're starting with fourth years. Most universities have been trying to go the online route to do exams from university, from home through online platforms, and it's full of hiccups. Trying to fix it, it's kind of a struggle. So I think it's good that first reopening is happening, and even though we may not be fully prepared, from long before to prepare for reopening. So I think it can work, especially because it is first and we're only starting with 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would be your concern going back to resumption of this learning? Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, there will be challenges. Like, for me, my big concern would be if there was a new wave of infections, especially in institutions, because a spike in infections may lead to shutting down of various counties again, and we should remember that some of the students don't live around the areas where they study, so that being separated from family and going through the pandemic, like the fear that can come with it, it will be it's a risk, but we have to face this eventually. We have to go back to school eventually. So if we start now, it will be good, because even if it fails, we can learn from the failures before we move on.
Thank you very much, Natalie, for weighing in. Before I let you go, just remind us which course you're pursuing and from which institution, at which institution.
I'm Natalie Kakai. I'm a media student from Maseno University.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Maseno University there, media student. Thank you very much for weighing in into this conversation. The conversation is around whether we are ready for the resumption of face-to-face learning within tertiary institution that is supposed to take place on Monday. So far, so good. The students are ready. Their concerns being the exams as well as social distancing, but says that we have to bite the bullet. This is the new normal. Now let's hear from Henry. Good morning, Henry. How are you? Great. Henry, good morning. We can't hear you, but we can see you. How about you unmute your mic? Good morning, Henry. Henry, your mic is still on mute. We can see you miming, but we can't hear you. Henry, we see good. Now, okay, well, we're trying to still get Henry's voice there. We can see him, but we can't hear him. Just to remind you on what Education Cabinet Secretary George Mago has said while he was appearing before the National Assembly Education Committee to give an update on the preparations by the ministry. He says that he said that the time to resume learning is now and not January. And he, however, confessed that it would be difficult to ensure social distancing among learners in schools, stating that it can only be achieved by having fewer students at a time. Come Monday the 5th, we are going to be opening our doors to, fourth-year students who are in our tertiary institutions. Now, Solomon, once again, Kakamega. Good morning, Solomon. Good morning once again. Now, just maybe from a student point of view, what recommendations would you give to ensure that, these learning institutions are safe havens for students? We've already had concern over a second wave of infection. What recommendations would you give from a student's point of view?
I think they should just abide by the government protocols over COVID-19 guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Like social distancing, water should be put in place, and sanitizers and other things. So at the same time, students should be well educated with the COVID-19. Should be aware of how COVID-19 transmit, and should know about COVID-19.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those recommendations. For you, we need to adhere to the laid down protocols in as far as safety is concerned during this COVID-19 pandemic. We'll be taking a short break, but remember, we are still talking about the state of preparedness of learning institutions, and we start with the tertiary institutions that are going to be opening up their doors after closure of up to 6 months. They start off with fourth years, as Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha maintains that the resumption of schools is going to happen now and not in January, citing that other countries are doing so, including our neighbor Tanzania and Burundi. We take a short break. When we return, we still focus on hashtag KBC Kids Talk. Are we ready to open our doors and for resumption of face-to-face learning? Do not go away. We'll be right back.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani.
Nimeangalia kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayuko.
Wewe wacha mchezo.
Mtoto nani?
Wewe ni mlevu.
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua iko hapa kwa mfuko. Lakini hataki kusikia mbatu mambo ya huyu mtoto. Kwa mafungo zako bwana.
Hatujali kazi zenu
This Weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Stupid is an understatement. Talk of crazy. Crazy is outdated, honey. Why do you think I got the ring and not you? That ring should be on my finger, you homebreaker.
Hey, Tisia, my brother. Siku za mwizi has caught up with you.
I bet you three feel pretty stupid for fighting over a man who clearly doesn't deserve your attention.
See you. We both know that's not true. We both know that's not true.
Everybody stop! Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
This Weekend on KBC Channel 1.
About how many of our girls are actually expecting children, and they are children themselves.
During my teen life, I got a baby, I got pregnant when I was 16.
Most men do not care how the girl will feel. For them, they are after one thing.
I had to stay at home first, take care of the baby, then go back to school later.
Girls need to have a vision. Where do you want to go? And I'll tell you, teenage pregnancy is a dream killer.
Who mentors you? Who are you looking up to at that moment? Who has come and approached you and has worked with you?
He got her education, and God blessed her with a job and a husband.
Good morning. You're still watching KBC Channel 1. This is KBC Kids Talk. Today we're talking about the resumption of face-to-face learning come Monday for tertiary institutions. Now, on Monday, President Uhuru Kenyatta seemed to rule out the reopening of schools. But yesterday, when appearing before the National Assembly Education Committee, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said that the time to reopen schools is now and not January. Come Monday, we're going to be opening up our doors. That is institution learning, the institutions of higher learning. But are we ready? Roping in my guest is none other than Professor Okumu Bigambo Okumu. He is a lecturer at the University of, he's a renowned lecturer, senior lecturer at the Moi University. Let's hear from Professor Bigambo. Good morning, Bigambo. How are you, Prof? Good morning, Prof. How are you? Well, we're still trying to get Professor Bigambo to come in on board. Remember, we've had from different guests this morning, including Solomon, Natalie, as well as Lorna. It seems that the students are ready to resume this learning, this face-to-face learning. And let's hear from Henry, who we couldn't quite connect to. I hope your mic is unmuted at this point. Good morning, Henry. Once again, how are you?
Morning, Regina.
Great. Now we can hear you. So tell us what course you're pursuing and where.
Okay, my name is Henry Akunda. I'm doing orthopedics and trauma surgeon. That is KMTC Nakuru campus.
Good. What is your take in regard to the resumption of face-to-face learning within tertiary institutions come Monday?
Okay, I feel it's a good approach, though my key concern is talking from my other campuses, whereby the KMTC campuses were used for quarantine, and I'm so concerned if the area was being fumigated and if it's ready for Monday, because our health is important as much as we are part of the health practitioners, students who will be joining now the rest of the Kenya in treating different patients here and there. So my concern is about is our campuses ready to those areas whereby they were used as now the quarantine areas. So that is my key concern. Though if other areas which were not used is ready, then we are good to go. Like for mine, part of it was used and part of it was okay. So my key concern is by Monday, will it be good? Will it be fumigated? Were the dorms cleaned and fumigated? So are they free from any viruses? So those are my key concerns as for now, but I'm waiting for communication from my school to give me a positive feedback that they are ready. But for me, I feel it's good to engage in physical learning, because there are some of the key things as medical students we missed in terms of practicals. You can't do practical online, that is for sure. So we just need a physical so that you can be able to proceed well and do well and finish the course and move on in treating different and offer services to Kenyans.
Thank you very much. Very well articulated there, Henry, highlighting that issue. Your primary concern is the safety of the institutions, given that some were used as quarantine centers. But then what will you do as Henry, as an individual, to ensure that you're safe within, the campus? Remember, we are worried about a second wave of COVID-19 infections.
Okay. Just June. As from the way we have heard from the media, safety starts with you as an individual. So me being an individual, I'll just need to make sure that I adhere to different COVID rules, set rules. That is sanitizing from time to time, and washing from time to time, and maintaining social distancing. So the aspect of social distancing and with the students is a bit tricky. More so, we are going to share different dorms to rest, to interact. So it will be slightly different. As much as it will be my individual perspective, it will be a bit different.
Thank you very much, Henry.
And I'm eager to see my schoolmates.
Thank you. That is Henry there highlighting his key concern is whether the institutions that were used as quarantine centers are safe for for the resumption of learning, and that he emphasizes that practicals cannot be done online. So it is important to go back to school. He's ready to go back to campus and finish off with his last year. So everyone who is joining in on the meeting, I'd want to implore you to just keep your mic on mute while the other guest is speaking, so that we can have better communication flow going forward. The conversation is, come Monday, are we ready? Are tertiary institutions ready for resumption of face-to-face learning? Concern there that has been highlighted, and I hope this is going to be taken into consideration. Institutions that were used as quarantine centers, how safe are they by Monday? Have they been fumigated? These are the questions that have been posed by Henry there, saying that that is his primary concern, and insists that though he is ready to go back to school. Now let me just check some of your feedback that you have been sending. This is at a time when it appeared that President Uhuru Kenyatta had seemed to rule out the reopening of schools. Yesterday, things took a different turn. After Education Cabinet Secretary there maintained that the resumption of school is going to happen now. This is the time and not January. Parents ready? What do you have to say? Remember, we are also Monday. Fourth-year students are going to go back to school. Now, just to recap what some of our guests had earlier on said, and I'll start off with what Timothy Ekesa had highlighted earlier, is that the country is ready to reopen learning institutions as long as we understand how we will do it. How are they going to use the shared amenities in the schools? That's a concern raised there by the executive director of CAC there, that is Timothy Ekesa. He also further asks, have any of the students visited their campuses? Good question. Have you? Well, keep the conversation coming. Remember, we are live, www.kbc.co.ke. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara, and our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1 News. Those are just sentiments that we have here, including Lorna, who is saying, a student at Multimedia University, the decision to resume learning in tertiary institution in phases is right. However, it is still not going to be easy to maintain social distancing if we reopen. Now, introducing my other guest this morning, we cross over to Kajiado County with Felicity. Good morning. How are you? Felicity, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Regina. How are you?
Great to have you on board. What is your take about the resumption of, face-to-face learning come Monday? What's your take?
I think it's a good idea, but at the same time, it's not a good idea. The reason being, as campus students, really move different. Partying, Nini, it's really...
try and tilt your gadget, because actually you're cutting half of your face off. Yes, thank you for adjusting. Now we see you better. You were saying?
I'm saying it's a good idea that we're going back to school, and we are going to complete the ones who are remaining with a few weeks to exam. But it's still not, I don't really think it's a very good idea. We move different. Mm-hmm. We really move different in terms of partying. And then most of the youth do not believe that COVID is real. So reopening schools is it's good. Yes.
So tell us what you pursue in campus and from where.
I study at the Technical University of Kenya, pursuing Bachelor of Technology in Applied Physics.
Interesting. Applied physics it is. So in your opinion, are you ready to go back come Monday?
It was rather on short notice.
Pardon?
So I'm still preparing. It was rather on short notice.
Oh, it was on short notice. You're still preparing. Thank you very much, Felicity, for weighing in on our conversation this morning. Says yes. Her primary concern is that the majority of the youth still do not believe that COVID-19 is real. Heavy statement there from a fourth-year student there who is pursuing applied physics there. Next guest. Xavier? Xavier, good morning.
Morning.
We're live from Kisumu now. Xavier, as we work to, walk towards Monday, what do you think needs to be done to ensure that these institutions that are going to be opening up their doors on Monday are safe for you as students?
Yeah, as much as I said, we as candidates, we are eager to come and join campus again and clear our courses. Our issue now lies with the campus VCs. We are seeing they're just sending circulars and telling us they're supposed to resume to school, but we do not know how ready they are. Now, right now, it's not about the government or the county officials. It's now about the VCs. Have they put our institutions safe for us to come? Because when you see like University of Nairobi, our hostels are always crowded. So how are we going to sleep?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that, Xavier, who's in Kisumu, a fourth-year student. He's also concerned about the examination and saying there's been a lot of inequality in learning. Some of them have been learning online while the other colleagues haven't. And just to give feedback, remember that we are inviting your feedback. We are live, www.kbc.co.ke, and our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News. Now, Natalie Kakai says, a student from Masena University says, the country will have to reopen schools, whether it is this year or the next. If there will be any mistakes along the way, we will learn from them and make things better. Quite an optimist there. That is Natalie Kaikai. My next guest this morning, as we are preparing to just have you on board, let me sample more of your feedback coming through. Henry Akuda, a student at KMTC. My key concern is whether facilities in our campuses are ready to be used now that some have served as quarantine centers. He had come on board and also shared that. And however, we are ready as medical students to resume face-to-face learning, especially for the practicals. We have been hearing from different stakeholders, mostly students, saying that they're ready for the resumption of face-to-face learning in tertiary institutions that is supposed to take place come Monday. Their concern being the examinations, the fact that they cannot do the practicals online, and they've raised an issue here that stakeholders need to take into account is that a majority of the youth still don't believe that COVID-19 is real. Are we looking at a situation where we might have these institutions as havens, to spread this particular virus? Now, that has been KBC Kids Talk. Thank you, thank you each and every person who made this possible. Thank you for your feedback. Continue sending in your messages on Twitter. My Twitter account is at Ray Manyara. We'll continue sampling it. Come Monday, we'll be doing a spot check in regard to where we are and where we're getting. And since we have been talking about the issue of what we want to pursue in our career, 20-year-old Tekla Akenye is not in university or campus. She is in secondary. Why? Because she had to work as a domestic worker so that she could just ensure that she pursues her education. These are challenges that the youth are facing that have been exacerbated by COVID-19 and poverty. Impact of child labor on the youth. Here's a small feature that we prepared for you to just highlight the challenges that most youth are going through.
I'm called Luchieng Tekla. I'm 19 years old. I'm in Form 3. And this child labor issue, I may experience when I joined Form 1. And my dad and my parents got divorced in 2005. I used to stay with my aunt. My dad was nowhere to be seen. And my aunt is very poor lady. So when I joined Form 1, there was no school fee. Although I joined a day school, but the marks I got was supposed to take me to a boarding school, but due to poverty, I joined day school. In this day school, we had to have this meal card. So due to my aunt can't provide that school fees for me. I used to go to school without lunch, and coming back home, there was no supper also.
This is Tekla's story, an experience that unfortunately several other children in Kenya are going through. What are the factors enhancing the prevalence of child exploitation?
One major challenge is child-headed homes, where a child must work to get other basic rights like food. You know, you can try to eliminate some children from labor, but when there's no one to provide for them, then it's still subjected to child labor. And therefore, that is what we are trying to address in partnership with other organizations, so that when we get a child who must just work to get other rights like life and survival, the child gets supported, so that we declare that place a child of his own. Secondly, there are conflicts in families that subject children out of their homes. So we are having children that are in the street, children that are in the villages, and these children are not in school, so they have to get some work somewhere. So those are challenges that we are facing in relation to our work to declaring our zone a free zone of child labor.
Statistics indicate that children are victims of human trafficking within and outside the country and are exploited to engage in domestic work, agricultural work, fishing, begging, and street vending.
They have money, and when they are walking the village, they show that they have money, they can buy their own things. They are having some kind of freedoms that influence other children also to engage in labor, not thinking about school, because they are seeing school as another problem. School is also squishing them with some other regulations. So when they get involved in child labor, they feel some freedom, and they have their own money that they're running. That is one. And again, there is every community is unique. There are some cultures that are also geared working towards supporting the child labor. Like when you graduate a child, that's now you are adult, things like FGM, things like these initiations. When a child is already past a certain age through initiation process, he thinks that is big, now can get to go and work. And the age is still demanding that the child should be in school. So those are other things that we are facing. So if we are in a society which are having some other norms and these cultural practices.
According to Michael Ocheng Kaponja, Child Labor Free Zone Coordinator, the society too needs to join in the fight against child labor.
It's a bigger challenge again, because the society cannot again account for a child to be in school, because we believe in the social protection that even if the parents are poor, parents are ignorant, but the society, the system and the structures in the society will ensure that the child is taken care of, because the child belongs to the country.
Non-governmental organizations have partnered with government to create child labor free zones, but it has not been easy.
We are an alliance. We work with many other partners. We want the government, we want the private sector, and we want even the ones that you saw today coming in. We want to work with everybody so that we can be able to realize the 8 child labor free zones in this region, in Migori, in Kisumu, and in Vihiga County. And I think we are moving into a phase now where we are talking about child labor education, arts, and research. So basically, we are talking about now moving beyond just children being at risk, but moving into a level where we are going to add in education, add in issues of research, and issues of education, and issues of documentation.
When a child tells you he or she wants to be a mkokoteni puller, what does it mean? The only thing they see, the joy they know, is that. And true, if we are not able to mentor our children, even as leaders, from where we stand at Spain, it's not going to be very easy for us.
Going forward, Michael Ocheng is hoping for an inclusive approach from government as well as the society itself in arresting child labor in order to secure the future of the young generation.
A lot of sanitation has to be done, because there are some class of people who still don't know the difference between child work and child labor.
Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Penzi hakuna tena, udhaifu na hisi, kwangu sio rahisi we, sijazoea vipigo na matusi mwenzako unanionea, unavyofanya sio sawa, mimi naumia, unayonifanyia mke wako sijaridhia, unavyofanya sio sawa, nimechoka mwenzako.
Kizunguzungu na mikufu mimwenzako sina, unanipa usumbufu hali huku hata buku sina, hali hainiruhusu domna na kesha kunywa mwenzako, neno kila siku hasira zangu nazimalizia kwako, na yote ninayoyatenda upande wako na kumiza. My baby, nataka tena kukupenda, sitaki tena kukuliza.
There you are. Thank you so much for being a part of the show this far. Welcome to the only way to start your day. Good morning, Kenya. And my name is Samuel Njoroge. I just sanitized, so let me keep that aside and engage my guest who is with me in studio. She is the brains, the artist, the creative hand behind that song that you've just seen there. It's called Bora Niende. None other than La Rota, who's joining us right here in studio. La Rota, karibu sana.
Asante, thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome to KBC Channel 1, hapa ndipo Baba na Mama.
Asante sana.
Okay,
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about La Rota. Who are you?
La Rota is a musician, an Afrofusion musician from Mombasa, Kenya. And I basically do Afrofusion music that touches on matters that affect us daily, our lives. And the reason why I use my music to educate people is because the only way I can do it is through entertainment. People tend to listen more when you're doing it you entertain them, other than just giving them speeches. Yes.
Hotuba mingi mingi.
Yes.
Hadithi njo.
Yeah.
But of course, at what point in your life did you decide to go into music?
I started my music in 2012, but I did it till 2014. Then I took a major break. Then I got back into music in 2018. Reason being, now I was able to focus on what I really wanted to do. Initially, I was just doing music for the hype, but now I decided to do it so that at least I can change people's lives.
Wait, you were doing music for that?
Back then, I was doing it for the hype. Like
for the hype.
Yes.
Nilikuwa nimesikia vitu zangu for the hype. So No. Okay, for the hype, and then you decided to pick it up professionally later. Yeah. So what were some of your most defining moments when you just decided to pick this up seriously and take it up as an art that could earn you some money?
The fact that people around me then believed in my music. I told you initially I did it for the hype, but I didn't know how my support system were very serious about my art. So when I did it for those 2 years and I took a break, then later on in life, like in 2018, I was told I have to get up and get back to my music because it was one of the things that defined me as a person and also as a brand. Because over the years, when I stopped doing music, I was a bit depressed, a bit low, because there was nothing exciting happening in my life. Then I realized, okay, it's my music that actually brought the excitement and gave me the joy, and even the people around me were happy when I did my music. Yes.
Right. Let's talk about your depression, because anytime a young person mentions that on this show, I stick there for a bit. You said you had lacked something defining to do for a very long time. How did you cope with that? Because a majority of people watching you this morning could be going through the same thing.
I can't say that it's not easy. It's a really tough phase, because you find that as artists also you go through that phase and there's no one to hold your hand and there's no one to understand really what you're going through. For me, what really helped me is the fact that apart from being a psychologist, I knew the therapeutic procedures that I needed to go through. But for the people that go through it out here, those that are depressed, they find it hard to get help most times. The presumption that maybe getting help is expensive, or it will expose them, or it will be branded as a weakness in them, depression is very hard out here, and most people don't even know that they're depressed. Wengine wanasema ya ni changamoto tu, it's normal, stress is a life. But until that moment you realize that you're not as productive as you should be, and you're not really giving it your all, and people around you are getting concerned also, that is when you realize that this thing is actually real. And it's a good thing that right now mental health is being touched on so much, brought about by the pandemic. But initially people unajua naweza ambiwa na watu, hii ni mambo ya maisha, just wake up, pick yourself up and move on. You know,
grow a thick skin.
Yeah, grow a thick skin.
To grow a thick skin and move on. But of course you said having had a background in psychology, it sort of helped you, Larota. Yes. And you said you embraced certain coping mechanisms. Maybe you could share with us some of these coping mechanisms.
For me, during that time, I can say as the healing process doesn't just happen in a day. So even till now, maybe I might have some triggers that bring you back to those moments. But for me, the reason also why I got back into music is music was therapeutic for me. I could easily just write my thoughts. And that is why I think my music is about what happens in life, what really affects us. So I wrote a lot of music, and during that time, and I also got a counselor, someone I could confide in and tell her what I'm going through during that time. And the most important thing, I think, is the people who are around me, like my spouse, could really understand what I'm going through and was there throughout the journey. Because at first, people don't understand what you're going through. They think, kwa sababu uko na stress, maybe things are not working out for you right now, sasa unajifanya you're doing what you're doing, just pick yourself up and move on. Then they realize, okay, this is serious. You're not waking up in the morning, you're not eating, you don't care about the things you used to care about before. Now they start supporting you and helping you walk through the process slowly. So that was basically for me, my coping mechanism, just having people around me and talking to them and writing my music, at least writing my feelings down, so that at least I get them off my chest.
Wow. Na umevunja watu moyo venye umemention spouse. Umevunja watu moyo. Watulie.
Watulie tu.
Ni changamoto tu.
Ni life.
Ni changamoto.
Ni life, whatever, ni life.
All right, we'll be getting to speak to Larota more on her music, her career, and what she has lined up for the future in terms of goals and aspirations. But right now, let's take a break, but we'll be back with much more in just a moment.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1 for a program that is objective and offers answers to matters economic, security, social, political, food, infrastructure, and setting the agenda. Join us for Charging Currents.
President Uhuru Kenyatta outlined his vision for the country.
I am just showing you what potential exists in this country if only we could just become visionary leaders. All of us together and work together in partnership.
A vision of development and economic growth for the benefit of every Mwananchi. Every week on Project 254.
Watch it on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Next on
Mtume Muhammad amejaliwa ajira iliyokubwa.
Ujizuie ulimi wako kutosema na kutozungumza yale ambayo yatamkasirisha Mwenyezi Mungu na kuwakasirisha wanadamu.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Zulia hayupo.
Wewe wacha mchezo. Wewe ni mlevu?
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua kwa hapa kwa mpuko. Lakini hataki kusikia bado mambo ya huyu mtoto. Kwa mafungo zako tu. Ya?
Hatujali kazi zenu
Welcome back to the program, and in case you're joining us, this is the only way to start your day. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Samuel Njoroge. There's someone who is requesting for a laid-back kind of theme for one of our Thursdays, and we promise you, your wish is our command. Tutawatengenezea hiyo, and we will serve it to you hot, straight from the kitchen. So brace yourself for that. That will be coming up in the course of our subsequent shows, not bulletins, shows. Sawa. Yeah, I'm still hanging out right here with La Rota. La Rota, asante sana for coming and for discussing with us how your music has been this far. And earlier on, you were talking to us about how you went through depression and you had a support system. Have you even considered the possibility of using your music, using your platform to reach out to young people out there who could be suffering and going through what you've once gone through in life?
Actually, I decided to start an initiative last year called Art Against Abuse. Before I merged the two, my psychology professionally as a psychologist and a musician. What I did was I used to volunteer in Kibera with the kids. I used to have sessions with them. Then I realized the music therapy really used to help. That was back then in 2014. But now in 2019, when I was launching Art Against Abuse, I realized most of these people nowadays go through depression because of what is going on around them. And there are different forms of abuse, and one of the most common forms of abuse right now is psychological and emotional abuse, which people go through unknowingly, and this is what makes people get depressed most of the time. Yeah. So I decided to start the initiative Art Against Abuse, and I launched it last year, December, in Mombasa, a little theater. So through this, we use music and different forms of art to express or to teach people what abuse is all about and how to cope with them. And just in case you need help afterwards, you can always just get people to help you through it. Because as an art is therapeutic in one way or another, people tend to understand you when it's expressed in that way, more than just talking about it. Because when you talk about it, take for example music. Music touches the soul. So when I'm singing about it and you keep listening to it and it's teaching you one or two things, you can be able to pick that up and be able to apply it in your life on a daily basis. Other than just, if I talk about it, it's easy for you to easily forget. Yeah. You see. So apart from also seeking counseling sessions, just in case you have a bigger problem, you can always listen to music or poetry or be able to spoken word and look at even paintings that express these forms of abuse or depression, and it can be able to teach you something. Okay. Yeah.
Now, Boraniende, is it your latest track or it's your first track?
It's my latest track. Boraniende is my latest track that just talks about it, basically based on abuse. You're stuck in a relationship with a narcissistic abuser, yes. And in that case, you cannot leave.
Those ones are the worst, right?
Yeah. Because they never see like what they're doing to you. They take advantage of your empathy. And they make you stick there thinking that it's always your fault that things are happening the way they are. So you tend to blame yourself most of the time, and you're stuck in that relationship.
And then they play victim.
Yeah, they play victim all the time. They're always the victims of every situation. So you find that you get stuck there because they tend to make you believe that it's your fault that the things are happening to you the way they are. So Bora Niende was based on that, and I did it with Mercury so that we bring the touch of a relationship setup. Yes.
So how would you describe the growth since the first time you did your first track up to Bora Niende?
My growth so far, I can say, has been consistent, per se, because people are now, I've now discovered the genre that I really want to do, and the fact that the listeners are embracing the kind of genre that I'm doing right now, Afrofusion. Before, like Bora Niende, I had Gimiduaro, and Gimiduaro is it's an Afrofusion song. It merges Kijaluo and English, and people liked it despite the language barrier. So it's been quite a journey, but so far so good. The consistency is really helping.
And talking about consistency and growth, and this is a message maybe you would give to young upcoming artists, what would be your advice to them?
My advice to them would just be like patience. Most of us lack patience. We just want to hit instantly. You do one track, you want to go out there and do whatever. It takes time. Most of these people, most of these artists that are up there, you listen to their stories, it's the patience, persistence, and the hard work, you know, because it needs a lot of hard work, consistency, and being able to believe in yourself and knowing what you really want to do and why you're really doing it. Because it might not be, you might be doing it for all the wrong reasons, maybe just for fame, and you don't really understand that even music or even the kind of art you're doing is supposed to bring food to the table, it's supposed to maintain you at the end of the day.
Do you write your own music?
Yes. Some I do, and some I co-write with my fellow artists.
Okay.
Yes.
What exactly do you consider when you choose to co-write any piece with another artist?
What I consider is the fact that if for example, most of my songs I write them in I write them in English or in Luo, the Afrofusion touch. But I know of very good artists who can write Swahili songs, and so I reach out to them and I tell them this is the vibe that I want, and this is what I want to achieve, and this is the message I want to pass. So if you can get me like Swahili lyrics that I can use in a song, it would be very nice. So we write, then you understand. There's the element of being able to pay them so that you compensate them in one or another. So for me, I always consider the fact that if your strong suit is in a particular language or genre, and I want to get into that genre, you can help me in building that song. Yeah.
Would you consider doing a collab with anyone?
Yeah, I would actually.
Who is this person and why?
In Kenya, for now, I would consider many artists, but for now, it's Sanaipei Tande, De La Maranga, and also male artists, of course, Calligraph, the OG.
Papa Jones.
Yeah.
He's been nominated for BET, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for now, yes, and those are the collabos that I would really consider.
So let me just zero in on two. Why Sanaipei and why Papa Jones?
For Sanaipei, I love her kind of music, and it's rich. The talent is just there. She doesn't, you know, as much as she doesn't really. She's a natural. So I really want to work with her and be able to also learn from her, because you never stop learning. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
And for OG, I've heard his story, his struggles from when he started music, and I need someone who understands and will help me grow, because they have a background of what they went through before they got to where they are right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about Sana being a natural, I mean, reminds me of an interaction I had with her back in the day, and she talked about a struggle she had. You know, when people tell her you need to show more skin, I don't know, you need to do what for your video to sell. But she felt, by the way, I'll stick to my identity and see how far it takes me, and look at her years down the line.
Yeah.
So, before I introduce your next song, what would be your final words to your fans, audience watching you this morning?
What I'd tell my fans is, and the audience is, they continue supporting our music, especially the Kenyan music, because we really try to give them what they can easily listen to and they can be able to appreciate. Then another thing is you can actually check out my music on social media platforms and on YouTube. As my handle is just Larota_Africa. Larota is LAROTA_Africa. On YouTube it's just Larota. And you can continue supporting us as artists. Na mkuje shows, na mweze mununue music pia huko online.
Kujengana, manzi.
Kujengana.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Larota there, thank you so much for coming in for the interview this Thursday. We do wish you all the best in terms of your present and future endeavors. We are taking a break, leaving you in the very capable and beautiful company of her song, Gimme Duaro. I hope I got that right, and we'll be back in a moment.
Cool boy.
All right. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you for staying with us. So right now we want to get into the final segment for the day, and this is all about the trending topics. The hashtag is still Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, at Jane Wamboy, at Sam W. Njoroge, and at Ray Manyara. Here's how you can find us individually. And of course, do remember to tag our official station handle, which is at KBC Channel 1. So guys, you ready for the trending topics?
Yes, we are. Looking bright.
I am?
Yeah.
Thank.
You are looking bright.
Niju sijajazwa kwa screen.
Probably brighter
Jane
than
is behind my camera.
Futures, but it's okay.
All right, so let's get straight into the first topic. Sam, umesema nini?
Okay, I just say you probably look brighter than some people's futures out there. So, congratulations, Jane. It's good to be here.
Why are you throwing shade on people this
I'm not
morning?
throwing shade at anyone. I'm expressing myself.
But it's okay. All right, so let's get into the first topic, and this is what is happening in Uganda. So we all know Museveni is the longest serving East African president. Yeah?
Yep.
And in 2017, he actually amended the constitution to remove the limitation when it comes to the age limit and presidential terms. Now this year, there's a lawyer who's decided to sue the president and take him to court and try to reverse that amendment so that he can be barred from, contesting again. Because if he does, this guy is going to be clocking 39 years as the president of Uganda. Now, he has been receiving so much bashing, so much harassment. He's been harassed so much by people who are alleged to be working for Museveni because of this direction he's choosing to go in terms of challenging the president. I don't know what you guys think about this situation. First of all, a president having so much power to a point where he can amend the constitution and in one way or the other push it to actually go, in as much as, there are other factors that are considered when it comes to amending the constitution. Sam?
Oh, wow. It's coming here?
Yeah.
All right. I just think, first you need to be smart in the way you approach some of these things. You cannot amend the term of a president through an injunction. We have an institution called Parliament in Uganda. It makes such laws and it decides. So that is where the issue should be.
Yeah.
And number two, what do you mean by reverse? Go back to the 80s and have Museveni be president one more time for 5 years only? I'm trying to say that we should try and separate issues to do with civil activism and some legitimate political concerns. And I have a lot of respect with what civil society does. I have a lot of respect for what you do. But one of the issues we have with our 2010 constitution is that as much as it has been touted as progressive, the hiccups and hitches that have come up with implementation, some people argue, is that it was so much of a civil rights document. So it was not quite alive to the democratic maturity, political, economic, and social status of the country as per the time the crafters of the 2010 constitution were doing their work. So I hope he is contesting, the gentleman, the lawyer who went to court. Maybe he's contesting for a certain seat and now he's beginning to drum up some mileage and support, trying to be anti-Museveni, because that could be an issue in the upcoming ballots in Uganda, or ballot rather in Uganda. So that could be my 2 cents around it, quite literally.
His argument is just basically that this guy has been on the throne for too long. And he needs to give room for a different, fresh breath, fresh blood, and especially the young guys.
What do you mean
given he turned 76 just last month?
What do you mean give room? Presidency is not a sitting, a living room, ati karibu sana, now you have it. Even entitlement does not work in politics. I mean, you can see what is happening with our Kenyan context. So if you're going to choose to play your cards, you better choose to play them right.
And now he's being harassed by people who are alleged to be
Museveni supporters. So already that tells you it's a political concern going on.
Yeah, right.
Then if you decide to go that direction, you need to be smart about it. And talking about being smart. Chambilecho. Wahenga.
How is Bobby Wine doing?
He's great. I talk as though I met him yesterday.
I know. Like, oh my God, we just had coffee yesterday.
No, the last I checked, he was doing fine.
Yeah.
He's back on track. He's still going on with his movement and everything. People still wearing the red ballet. So I presume he's okay. But there was a certain political issue in Uganda just the other day that involved him. Ray.
He's still being harassed.
Yeah, but kama Besigye, hey.
Nauliza ako wapi? Where is Besigye?
No, for Besigye, I think there's a time he gave a press statement and said he's considering to ease up on politics and sort of concentrate on his own personal life. I guess when you reach a certain age that is called self-actualization, you realize it's never that serious. It is what it is, and I need to move on swiftly.
So I think this lawyer should just look for Messenger and have that conversation.
You know, wisdom, trade some wisdom.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there was a stunt Museveni played some other time, when they pegged the age to, was it 70 or something? And then he says Siju was born in which year?
He was put at 75.
At Siju, and there was this religious sect, and Siju, there is history to even confirm that. I mean, if you want to play, all I'm saying is, if you want to play politics in Uganda, be smarter than the incumbent.
Now, this is not Uganda, definitely. We all remember Uncle Bob. Yeah, may his soul continue resting in peace. And when I say Uncle Bob, I mean Robert Mugabe. Hey. In an interview, he was asked then why is he still in power after so long? Is he about to leave? He asked, why don't you ask the Queen?
The Queen, that he was being interviewed by Amanpour.
Yeah,
and the question came up.
And he says, where am I going?
Why don't you ask the Queen that question?
Yes, where am I going and why don't you ask the Queen?
Because she's been at it for the longest time. And I remember for some time there, Christian was flat-faced wondering, okay.
But you see, Uncle Bob was quite, the man. He was
you need
intelligent.
To be politically smart.
Yes. Correct.
To deal with some of this. I mean, even in our own context here, President Moi is referred to, may his soul rest in peace. We still refer to him, rightfully so, as the professor of politics.
True.
It tells you something. If you want to clinch a political seat, ukwe MCA, ukwe MP, senator, governor, women rep, I'm a president, you need to be smart.
Totally
You need to be
smart.
very, very smart.
Yes. And that's also the conversation that also revolving around the DP guy saying that people forget that he learned from Moi. But that's a whole other conversation. So we want to know what you guys think about this particular situation. This guy deciding to go against, the grain and, just challenge this decision that actually he was given, Museveni was given the go-ahead by the High Court for his presidential bid for the election which will be happening next year, 2021. So let's just see. What do you guys think about the situation? Do you think he'll actually get heard in the first place? Will there be results that will come from this petition that he's putting forth, challenging the court to reinstate the cap when it comes to presidential term limits and presidential age? Let us know using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Now, there's a research that was done by a blogger. I'll not mention her name, but she says that 95% of female students would die of hunger if all married men chose to be faithful. Students, 95%.
Oh, thank God.
What is your immediate feel to this particular statement? Ray, you seem flabbergasted. You're audio.
Tunafungua shule, tunafungua university on Monday.
But is it true? Let's put it out there. Is it true?
Let me tell you something that I also saw this morning.
Yeah.
Another lady on TikTok, she was saying, a reality check for side chicks. This man gets 80% of what he wants from his wife. And he gets 20% of from you, the one that is not getting from the wife. So if you are sitting there hoping he will leave the wife, my friend, think again. Because, why would he leave the wife when he's getting 80 and you are here giving him 20? Why would he want to let go of any?
20 ulisikia wapi?
Gosh, I'm itching, but this is general.
Let me just ask a question.
Yeah.
Provoke common sense, as much as it may not be common to all. How do you feel as a young woman lying there besides an 80-year-old or a 70-year-old man? He's making a call to the wife, wakiongea kuhusu projects, na kama contractors walilipwa. And you're just there. Hauna dreams na, like...
But this is so true.
No, where panua your worldview. Like, please. That thing is what gets me so annoyed.
Yeah.
Chukua brother hapo campus.
Mm?
Huh?
Mm-mm. brothers wa campus tusome
brother hapo campus. Think of how you can build an empire with them. Guys, haven't we learned from the Nameless and Wahoo story? They met in campus.
Yes.
They met in campus, and years down the line, they're telling us marriage is not easy, but it is worth it.
Okay.
This whole thing of you coining a relationship around a 60-minute episode of Telemundo Presents, we ain't doing that.
My friend.
It's 2000 and late.
So do you think it's true when she says 95% of female students will die of hunger if all married
There was a time we
faithful?
were complaining at the rate at which Prados are picking up young girls up at University of Nairobi. And
Lord.
that is just a sample size. If we are to replicate, if a spot check was to reveal what is happening in the country, ukiona vyalea vimeundwa jamani.
Vimeundwa kweli.
Na palipo na moshi apakosi moto.
Ray, what are your thoughts on this particular issue?
Tunafungwa shule Monday. Tunafungwa campus on Monday.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
And how do you explain a second year student, female, living in Kilimani in a posh apartment?
Ameomoka.
Alafu anachelewa lecture, anakuja anaambia lecturer alikuwa anatafuta paki.
Si ameomoka.
Of course, kiaje.
Amekafunga.
The end justifies the means.
No.
Oops.
We need to interrogate the end as much as we interrogate the means. If we are condemning the thief, let us also lazima kieleweke. Ukihesabu na hesabu.
Okay.
Nyinyi
bado mkihesabu mmeniuliza story ya 20 na 80%.
Yeah.
Is this still general viewing? The 20% might be legit 20%.
Yeah. So unakubaliana na hizo figures?
Nimesema 20%. The one that Jane says, oh, 80% contractors, then there's 20, well, look at it this way. Maybe this lady is comfortable delivering the 20%. But hey, I'm not advocating for that. Hey, I'm just saying.
If you're comfortable, okay.
Hashtag GMK.
No, I just think, and I believe one day
Na Prado hazichukwangi wasichana pekee campus.
We should also be gender sensitive and spread this conversation across. And kuna wale pia tomboys out there. That is a case for another conversation altogether. Wewe na anti wa Haria Shaus. That's a conversation for iyo hata si statistic, iyo tu ni mwelekeo kupotea.
Yeah.
Because when this is not meant to be chauvinist, but there is a certain degree of ground for a man that you should never seize. Or cede rather. Not because I'm not chauvinistic. I'm simply saying, even for the ladies I'm hosting this show with, they love men who are in control. That gives you security as a woman, right? If you think your husband is hawezi, kinda, sort of, yes, no, probably, perhaps.
Kuna mapengine labda, maybe, perhaps.
Why are you with that brother?
Jump
but
cut.
You love some people. You love people who are in control.
Jump cut.
Right?
Jump cut.
Yeah. So actually, some of these terms we use on this show, we should, I think, write something online on our page what exactly they mean.
Yes, so that they understand.
I feel like it's only the three of us who are understanding what Ray is saying about a jump cut. But it is what it is, by the way. Both genders should be considered in this conversation. But right now, we are sticking to the fact that, blogger may decide.
And it was a lady, by the way.
95% about Prados picking up ladies and all that. But on the flip side, Antiwahari bado ni reality, na Shaus bado ni reality.
Haro?
Yeah, so think about it that way.
But
please,
it was actually a lady who put this piece together.
Come on, at that age, and I mean this with all due respect, kaa kuna kitu utapanua akili, utaomoka.
All right. And speaking of growing the mind, takes us to the next story. So there's this chick who uploaded a video on TikTok showing how she was washing her boyfriend's pillows. Now, looking at those pillows, she actually put the caption there that my boyfriend hasn't washed these pillows in 10 years and he doesn't want me to replace them. The reason as to why he hasn't washed them is because he wasn't, or rather he believes washing is for ladies. Hiyo ni kazi ya wasichana.
Alikuwa amekuja sleepover ama? Na akalalia hizo pillows.
Agenda kuosha, aliosha kwanza before azilalie.
Of course, lazima ikue alikuwa amevisit before na akazilalia before.
Now, there are two parts of this story, of this particular story I want us to address. Number one, this guy thinking that life skills, like washing, ni kazi ya wasichana.
Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Ya pili?
Ya pili, girlfriend giving wife
duties.
Wife privileges.
Mimi tuende hiyo ya mwisho, yes. Those ones. Now we are together.
I mean, and she documented step by step. Alienda de kanunua products.
And why document?
See, to show people how she's a bomb girlfriend.
If you're comfortable with your boyfriend,
akaisoak, akaonyesha the hacks, how to get, and they're white pillows. Pillows here white.
Okay, I doubt whether they were white at the point alikuwa naziosha. But as Regina says, to stick here mwisho.
Yeah.
Because hiyo ya kwanza,
no, Sam, you know, I want to hear from you, especially as a guy.
When you have, for me.
Yes.
For me.
As in a fellow guy thinking that some life skills like kuosha manguo and keeping yourself very clean is a responsibility of the opposite gender.
That is a parenting concern. And as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend, your mandate is not to raise anyone. Your mandate is to do life with someone. So if you choose to parent someone, you be a victim of your own circumstances. Hiyo ni yako. Iweke TikTok, ipeleke kwa therapist. Hiyo ni sasa ni yako.
But just talk to the gents. Talk to the gents. These are life skills.
No, okay, for real. Things are basic. It's 21st century. It's 2000 and late. I'm not saying, God, this will be so misinterpreted, but you know what? It's okay.
It is what it is.
It's good to have life skills.
Yes, man.
And I'm not saying that men start washing the houses and they're married and everything. No, I'm also cognizant of gender roles because they're part and parcel of socialization. But life skills are very important. Historia tia kuvanga trao siku 10 junior black.
Yuck.
Yeah? Itabiati, you do not do your sheets maybe after a week at least. Ikienda sana mbili, okay, fine. You're on the extreme, a month, change them. History at over and over again, apana.
We hear from
and
you
normalize cleaning your houses too. And utensils rotting in the sink for days. No.
3 minutes to go, guys. Ray.
No.
2 cents.
No.
I'm on the second issue. Why would you be doing wifely chores and you're just a mere girlfriend? One of the many girlfriends.
Aren't conjugal rights classified as marital privileges?
Now we're talking about
Can we just expand then the conversation and look at all the privileges on the table?
You see,
2 minutes.
I'll say it. Try and keep it very simple.
Yeah.
If you're already providing the milk.
Oh my God.
You're already providing the milk. Why should the farmer purchase the cow? Milk is free. Why would I be buying the cow?
Think about that.
I had so much to say, but we're pressed for time. No, it's
closing
basic.
remarks.
It's basic, you know. Common sense is not common to all. That's all I can say. Common sense is never common to all.
As you wind up, that issue of...
Haven't we seen people who've been girlfriends for 7 years
Can you bring up that we find
and now I'm a date for 1 month?
Bas.
Aya, bas. Sasa ule MP mwenye alisema kuna watoto ngapi ni 10?
Tutafidiwa tu sahi. Ati? Ina come through to see tumalize show. Thanks guys for watching and thank you for being a part of Good Morning Kenya this week and this Thursday. My name is Samuel Njoroge. She is Regina Manyara and Jane Wamboi. We catch up with you on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. It feels good to say that on a Thursday. And of course, God bless you all abundantly. All right? Good morning, guys.
tunakupa burudani.
Na umbea, yani stories zinazo trend kwenye mitandao ya kijamii.
See baby now we are two in one. We are two in one.
Interview kali za wasanii wapendao.
Mguu pande panda milima. Aoye izungushie hapo ma. Kama una
Ndani ya March of Life kupitia KBC Channel 1 na Pwani FM.
Kuanzia mida ya saa 3 mpaka mida ya 5 kamili asubuhi. Ukiwa nami ni Teken 1GB.
Mimi ni Marco. Keep it locked.
Malewa.
Next on.
Mtume Muhammad amejaliwa ajira iliyokubwa.
Ujizuie ulimi wako kutosema na kutozungumza yale ambayo yatamkasirisha Mwenyezi Mungu na kuwakasirisha wanadamu.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Ha! Stupid is an understatement. Talk of crazy. Crazy is outdated, honey. Why do you think I got the ring and not you? That ring should be on my finger, you homebreaker.
Hey, Tisia, my brother. Siku za mwizi has caught up with you.
I bet you three feel pretty stupid for fighting over a man who clearly doesn't deserve your attention.
See you. We both know that's not true. We both know that's not true.
Everybody stop! Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Next on.
By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu anioe tiki.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo.
Mbaya.
Basi mtu akioa huko mzee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever she did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Who?
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaning you up and keeping you away from the family.
This is the kakuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini, kama umekufia hiyo dem, usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagonga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in a cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Yote ndawai do iko tu sawa kwa macho yako.
Unataka kuwapo?
Ati nini?
Why are you people shouting?
Are you okay?
Mwanamke ninakuona sana. Ni wanaume hapa Mombasa wameisha.
Ni nini mbaya? Nowadays we have so many unfaithful people.
What?
We need to talk about her every time we are together.
I'd be very careful the way you address me.
Zako zinakuangaje? Huwezi kaa dakika mbili hata bila kuteta.
You will all sign new contracts.
And I am supposed to be briefed.
What?
Taki ujinga.
Can this be another British goal? 2 already today. Farah leads. The field is being spread eagle. Behind him is Sariko Bekele. Then is Gallon Rupp of the USA.
It is yet another Olympic year where Kenyans look forward to a glorious harvest. But it is a year that evokes bittersweet memories from former long-distance runner Thomas Osano, whose dreams of representing the country in the Olympic Games went up in smoke way back in 1992.
We trained in Denver for quite 2-3 months in Colorado high altitude. After coming to Kenya, I competed in 10,000 meters. I finished number 3, and the Japanese knew I was in the team. So we went to the training camp in Kasarani. We stayed in the training camp almost for 1 month. When departing to Olympics, I was told I'm not in the team. That was my lowest moment ever in the Kenyan team. When I tried to ask the reason why, I was told that I don't have experience. Now I felt which kind of experience was I supposed to have, because after competing in World Championships, after competing in all African Games, after, by the way, I was the best in all Japan. So I felt as if I was shortchanged. So when I went to Japan, by the way, I tried to explain my bosses. They became adamant to understand. They thought I was lying to them. Eventually my contract was cancelled because they wanted me to repay them back what they gave me to use in America. So that costed me. From there, that's when I went to America all the time, running on road races.
It was a bitter pill to swallow, as many athletes can attest to, but he had to gather his strength and prove he was still worth it when he was called upon to represent the country in the IAAF World Half Marathon a year later, where they came back with the team gold.
Kind of I achieved because I'm self-reliant, I'm independent, and by the way, athletics, for me, I started away from school. And currently, even where I'm resting or I'm staying, it's my home, and I'm happy because I got it out of athletics. The earnings that I got from learning.
Thomas Osano was born in Kisii, where he got the running bug, or was it in the genes?
My elder brothers used to do athletics. Even my elder sister was an athlete. So it's kind of, it was like inheritance of learning. Although when I went to Kyomiti, there were some top athletes like Sami Nyangincha, who inspired me, because by that time they had already gone to international level.
He was still in school when he was selected to go to 2 international events, starting with the 1987 World Cross Country Championship, where they took the team silver before they got the gold 2 years later.
From primary school, I was learning up to national level. Then from there, that's when I started to represent Kenya officially, because in Form 2, I was in the junior cross country. In Form 3, I was still in junior cross country, which we went to Norway. And then in Form 4, I was in cross country, and I also represented Kenya in the junior athletics, which was in Canada. I did 20 kilometers and I was number 2.
He relocated to Japan after school, where he entered the corporate athletic system to dominate not only his main races on the track, that is the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters races, but the cross-country and road races as well.
I was based in Japan almost for 2.5 years, 3, because I was there from 90 in Miyazaki. Was working with an electrical company, which was called Oki. We call it Okidenki. From 1990 up to the end of 1992.
1991 saw him take part in the World Championship in Athletics, where he finished 4th in the 10,000 meters race, won in a 1-2 finish by Moses Tanui, after registering the same position in the Norway World Cross Country Championship.
I participated in World Championships. That was in 91. I decided to be kind of a base maker and to complete the race. I finished 4th.
He had missed out on the medal brackets, but ended the year on a high with not only a lifetime best of 27 minutes, 28.87 seconds in the Bislett Games in Norway, but a gold medal in the All-Africa Games in Cairo, where he narrowly beat his compatriot William Koech.
It was not that easy. It was that we worked so hard. Did the last rub is when I had to use extra power to last kick to win my compatriot to be the gold medal winner.
There was no stopping Thomas Osano after that, but notably in the European and USA road races, where he concentrated his efforts with much success.
America, that's the time I won. By the way, I won San Francisco almost 3 times, pay to breakers. I won Boulder 10K twice. I did Spokane 10K. I won it. I won quite a number of road races, and I was the best athlete of the year, I think, 94, 95.
He ventured in the marathon too, but found the going tough.
I never did big marathons, but I tried New York one time, and I was not prepared to go for that race, but then I thought, let me try that marathon. It was not good for me. I learned quite slow, 2 hours, 18 minutes. Then I also came to Europe because I had a manager who was managing me from Europe, from Holland, by the way, Mr. Joe Samens. I did some races also in Europe. I did Route de Vin. I did dam to dam. I did some 10Ks. I did the half marathon, which was good because that's the half marathon which I have my best time of 60 minutes.
The former athlete was forced to hang up his running shoes later and now concentrates on nurturing new talent at the Sportsmark Athletics Club in Ngong while taking care of his family and business in Kitale as well.
Until 99 is when I thought I needed to have a little bit of break from running. So now I'm concentrating in advising these young athletes you have seen. Some I'm giving some with my running experience, giving them programs to use. And when I have time, I can do a bit of coaching, and I do it for free. I don't charge them. So I hope if all goes well, we can get now athletes coming up, because you can see now, by the way, we have started having a negative attitude towards athletics, coming to this sense of drugs, because we never used to have this kind of thing there before. We used to think that the drugs was for sprinters. Now you have seen nowadays it has come up to the marathon level. So it is kind of a dangerous trend. And we are trying to encourage these young athletes not to indulge in that kind of business.
Thomas Osano has now let bygones be bygones as he relives his memories, hoping that the current generation will not be subjected to more woes than has befallen them as they prepare for the ultimate dream in the Olympic Games.
I'm happy, and then I will only wish that the young upcoming athletes, they should not be exposed to what we were exposed, especially when you are in a Kenyan team, you are dropped at the last minute. And we need to encourage our young athletes who are coming up that they should also try to invest, because like where I stay, I call it my home. It's not, was not given by parents parcel of land. Then we need also to see sports to be a clean sport, not something which you are doing it in a way of fueling yourself. Let it be natural.
Na msibabaishwe na yale mnayoyapitia, hata yawe magumu kiasi gani, yote yatapita. La msingi ni kuweka tumaini letu kwa Mungu aliyetuumba. Katika kitabu cha Warumi 5:3, wala si hivyo tu, ila mnafurahia.
Kupata dhiki huleta zaburi, bonyeza *811 *963#. Bonyeza *811 *963#.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani?
Nimeangalia kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayuko.
Wewe wacha mchezo.
Zo. Mtoto nani?
mlevu.
Ulianza lini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua iko hapa kwa mpuko. Lakini hataki kusikia mbato mambo ya huyu mtoto.
Kwa mafungo zako kwa.
Ya?
Atujali kazi zenu
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
About how many of our girls are actually expecting children, and they are children themselves.
During my teen life, I got a baby, I got pregnant when I was 16.
Most men do not care how the girl will feel. For them, they are after one thing.
I had to stay at home first, take care of the baby, then go back to school later.
Girls need to have a vision. Where do you want to go? And I'll tell you, teenage pregnancy is a dream killer.
Who mentors you? Who are you looking up to at that moment? Who has come and approached you and has worked with you?
She got her education, and God blessed her with a job and a husband.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola. Taste the simple joys.
Will also resume this morning. The time allocated there is 2 hours 23 minutes. Other bills which have been lined up for debate for second reading include the National Disaster Management Authority Bill, the Land Amendment Bill, the Crops Amendment Bill, the Labour Relations Amendment Bill, the Alcoholic Drinks Control Amendment Bill, as well as the Public Order Amendment Bill. This National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2019. This morning, there are various members who will be asking questions, and this is at order number 7, where the member for Kadhiani, Honorable Robert Mbui, will ask 3 questions to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. The answers will be will be made available before the Departmental Committee on Lands. The member for Moyale, Honorable Kalisha Gofu, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government 3 questions as well, which will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. The member for Kitui West Constituency, Honorable Edith Nyenze, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government what facilitation, if any, has the Ministry provided to village elders for the effective provision of vital services to communities, considering that they use personal resources to carry out various administrative duties. What measures are in place to ensure their security, considering their role in community policing? The questions by the Honourable Member for Kitui West will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. The member for Gishugu, Honourable Chimu Githinji, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to provide details regarding the source, design, network and volumes of the Mega Kutus water supply project being undertaken by Tana Water Services Board in Kirinyaga County. Are the volumes of water sufficient in the said project, enough to cover other areas other than the ones covered in the current design for equitable sharing of the said natural resource as envisioned in Article 69, subsection 1 of the Constitution? Could the Ministry consider designing another network for supply of water under the said project to Gishugu residents in the neighboring Kabare and Baragui wards? The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. The member for Sigowet Soin, Honorable Kipserengeti Koros, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works what criteria is used to allocate the roads maintenance levy fund to the counties. Also, could the Cabinet Secretary explain whether the same criteria applies to the reallocation of the county roads maintenance levy fund among the various constituencies of the same county, and how much money allocated from the fund to Sigowet Soin constituency received for the last 5 years, and how much was disbursed. The question by the Honourable Member for Sigowet Soin will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. The member for Nakuru Town East, Honourable David Gikaria, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Environment 3 questions. Among them, the Cabinet Secretary should explain the cause of the recent black rain, beg your pardon, that was experienced at Kabatini in Lanet Umoja Ward in Nakuru County. And could the Cabinet Secretary explain the health risk, if any, that the black rain poses to the ecosystem? What steps the ministry has undertaken to ensure caution? What steps the ministry has undertaken to ensure caution the public from the risk associated with the black rain, and whether there are any compensation mechanisms to the affected residents? The question by the Honourable Member will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. If you're just joining us, the business of the National Assembly this morning is about to begin, and on your screen is some activity, and I will be handing you over for this live broadcast, which is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit, PBU, in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Edward Kabasam. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing.
Na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, twakusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba ututeremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amina. I direct that the quorum bell shall be rung for 10 minutes.
There is not enough members in the chambers this morning to allow business of the National Assembly to commence, and so the presiding chair, Christopher Mulele, has ordered that the quorum bell be rung. What happens in the background is that respective leadership of the House will be mobilizing their members to walk into the chambers. The number required for business of the National Assembly to commence is 50. That is according to the provisions of the Standing Order number 34 of the National Assembly. And that number, 50, is what is required for business of the National Assembly to begin. In the next couple of minutes, the respective leadership of the House, this includes the majority and the minority, will be whipping their members to take a seat or take their seats in the chamber and in the extended chambers to allow business of the National Assembly to begin. As we wait for that, we'll take a look at other questions which will be asked in the chamber or in the National Assembly this morning. The member for Lurambi constituency, Honorable Titus Hamala, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development and Public Works whether or not the CS is aware that the road classified as C41 connecting Lurambi and Navaholo constituencies was swept away by heavy rains and landslides, thus paralyzing transport and communication between the two constituencies. What steps the Cabinet Secretary is taking to expedite the construction of the said road, and in particular the 3-kilometer stretch from Lurambi to Shikoti, which is in deplorable state. What is the construction of the road expected? When is the construction of the road expected to commence and expected to be completed, considering that the contractor left the site over 1 year ago? The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. The member for Igembe South constituency, Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Land and Physical Planning, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of the ownership and the number of all parcel of land set aside for public use in Maua Township in Igembe South constituency? What measures has the ministry put in place to ensure that all public land is safeguarded against irregular location and grabbing by individuals for future development? The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Lands. The member for Westlands constituency, Honorable Timothy Wanyonyi, has a number of questions which he will ask the Cabinet Secretary for Energy. Among them, could the Cabinet Secretary explain what causes power outages in Gigiri, Runda, and the wider Karura environs every evening at around 6 o'clock, leading to damage of electronic appliances for both commercial and household use? What measures are in place to compensate the affected households with respect to damaged appliances? Could the Cabinet Secretary further explains why Kenya Power levies prepaid electricity consumers on the basis of the amount of units purchased over a 3-month period as opposed to the total units consumed during the same period, contrary to regulations? Could the Cabinet Secretary also explain why the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has failed to address the concerns of consumers regarding billing, and more specifically the consumer of the Kenya Power prepaid account number 014505400107? And finally, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a list of electricity customers who have been reimbursed by Kenya Power upon the intervention of the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority for wrong billing during the last financial year, 2019-2020? The questions by the Honourable Member for Westlands constituency will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Energy. We are still waiting for the House to quorate, and currently the quorum bell is being rung. This is courtesy of Standing Order 34 of the National Assembly. The number required for business of the National Assembly to begin is 50. The members are observing social distancing, so that means that the main chamber can only accommodate a particular number of members. Others have been provided with an extended chamber, which includes the lounge, as well as a tent which has been erected outside the Parliament the chamber of the National Assembly. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. A quick recap of the business which will be transacted this morning. The Public Service Values and Principles Amendment Bill will be considered in the Committee of the Whole House. A number of amendments to this bill by the Honourable Member Andrew Madime have been proposed, and those amendments will be considered by the members in the Committee of the Whole House. Later, the members will vote on whether or not this bill should be read for the first time. The Public Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2019, has also been lined up for debate. The debate on this had already begun, and it will resume this morning. The balance of time remaining there is 2 hours 23 minutes. There, more members are walking into the chamber to take their seats and help the House curate. Other bills which have been lined up for debate include the National Disaster Management Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2019, the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2019, the Crops Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2019, the Labour Relations Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2019.
Order. Honourable members, we have the requisite numbers now. We can transact business. Members, calm down so that we transact business.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Order. Honourable members. Honourable members. Order. Honourable members, probably let me allow you to take the lady members to take their seats. Very well. Honourable members, this is a message from the Senate, number 8 of 2020, passage of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 7 of 2020. Honourable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Senate regarding its passage of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 7 of 2020. Honourable members, the message reads in part, and I quote, "The Senate considered and passed the said bill on Tuesday, 29th September 2020 with amendments." Honourable members, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill is an annual legislation introduced in accordance with the provisions of Article 218 of the Constitution, with the objective of equitably allocating the share of national revenue among the 47 counties. Given the urgency of the passage of this bill, and in furtherance to the provisions of Standing Order 124-2A, the Budget and Appropriations Committee is directed to expedite consideration of the bill to enable the House to consider the bill in all stages during the sitting of Tuesday, October 6th, 2020, and unlock the budget processes in the 47 counties. Honourable members, may I also take this opportunity to remind the House of the provisions of Article 111, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution, which provides the voting thresholds for amending a special bill. And I quote, the National Assembly may amend or veto a special bill that has been passed by the Senate only by a resolution supported by at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly. A county allocation of revenue bill is a special bill concerning county governments in terms of Article 110, Sub-Article 2, A, Roman 2 of the Constitution. This implies that any amendment proposed in this House on the bill shall require to be supported by at least 2/3 of all the members of this House for it to pass. The House is accordingly